Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men power want? More power.
My name is Luca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
Here we go, guys. Another Sunday, another show. This is Luca Zanna broadcasting on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States to the FM network. And you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We had a great guest the last few weeks, and I always like to pretty much work hard to find people who can articulate with me all differences of opinions or reinforce my opinions. Simple as that. And as I said many times, this show is not about, going some sort of theatrical debates and be some sort of, provocative. No. I like really or genuinely try to learn from you guys. I like to learn from my guests. And more important, I like try to find a way that we can unite as Americans, and that's pretty much the story. Of course, I got my convictions. I mean, I got my opinions and this is me. But at the same time, I'm open to be challenged, and I want to be challenged, And for me, I tell you, I had incredible opportunities the last few weeks, for example, to meet people, a couple of years at this point, not a few weeks, that they found me through the show. And I really became, I don't know him very well as a person, but I'm getting closer. I start to almost feel like we're friends, even if we don't spend times together. Because I tell you, I see the humanity, I see how they think. I also see how they change, how they completely open themselves also to interact with my ideas and probably, get new ideas. For me, I told you, like I had last week, that lady, Linda Gilstrap from California, a mother, a single mom, who pretty much was completely against guns. At least she was for gun control just 1 year ago. She came on my show and she said, look, I really don't like guns. And, I'm for gun control. And I tried, nicely because, I'm not trying here to be rude. I'm not trying here even to impose myself. All I said, you don't like guns, that's fine. But let me give you some logic and some facts about we need guns and blah, blah, blah. 1 year later, she wrote me and she was on the show last Sunday and completely, 180 degrees change. And now she's for gun rights. She understands. And, she's also buying her guns. So this is my point. I'm here trying to reach out. And if you can improve me, I really appreciate it. There are things you can teach to me. I love that. One person really I appreciate so much, is one of the first listeners on my show, is this gentleman from High Desert, San Bernardino County, California, that, normally at the beginning we did not really probably understand each other because, he considered himself a Democrat, and I don't know sometimes much, just I'm there and I think, every Democrat must be a pain in the butt. Instead, prove the point, never judge just because from this leveling that we have, there have been Democrats in the past that have been great patriots and they really try to save America. Like, I will tell you later about this congressman, that was, killed, died mysteriously on this airplane, but we'll talk later. Anyway, the point is I'm very honored to have, I consider this my friend, also one of my best listeners, the gentleman I'm going to bring you now on the air, and we will talk about, first of all, some updates, about some very important lawsuits, and also about a lot of other great information. Stay with me 1 second.
We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. After a long train of abuse.
Here we go. And this was Don't Tread on Us. I had to do some sort of a special request for Ronald O'Donnell, my best friend here on the air. And here we are. Ronald, are you there?
Hey,
Hey, how you doing, Zanna?
I'm okay. And, last time we talked, you were pretty much living dangerously, and, you're in the middle of this federal lawsuit against this huge monster bank, and, you're pursuing the cause of try to pretty much expose the fraud of these illegal foreclosures. And there are a lot of news you want to give us, some updates. So I'll give you the floor. Let us know whatever's going on with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, everything's wonderful here. I just want to make a comment that I want to, say to the new owners of KTOX. They have this radio station that is permitting people to talk to each other and permitting people to get together and to discuss issues that are important to us around our community here in the desert. And my hat is off to them. I appreciate them, and I know the listeners appreciate them for allowing us our right of freedom of speech. So I want to open with that. Thank you, KTOX.
Great.
And thank you for permitting Luca Zanna to be a true American, to be a true patriot, to really care about the citizens and the community that they serve. So with that, I would like to get into, with your permission, Zanna.
Of course. Go ahead, please.
Okay, the issue. Now, I've always been about bank fraud. And the banking industry across America that is impacting and harming American citizens. Now, it sounds controversial, and of course, there are the detractors that will say, well, you shouldn't discuss this. Zanna should not discuss this. No one should discuss this because, well, you can't say anything bad about the banks because you're un-American. They have all their excuses. In fact, there was a law 45 years ago that you could go to jail for saying a negative thing about a bank.
Wow.
And believe it or not, that's never been repealed.
Oh, my gosh. Great.
Yeah. If you would say something about a bank, you could go to jail.
Okay, let me break the law. One second,
charges.
Ronald, I need to be sure I want to break this law. So let's pick a couple of banks. Let's go with the pretty much the heart of the beast, the main cancer, the private Federal Reserve. So I want to say something I hope can be on record for humanity, posterity, and hope I can break this law pretty well. The Federal Reserve Bank is the biggest cancer of America. It's the cause of the destruction of our dollar, and pretty much they own our government, and is pretty much a controlled, regularized, and legalized mafia. This is Luca Zanna talking today, August the 9th, and they can all go to hell. You think it was bad enough?
Well, I think you haven't been emphatic enough here.
Okay, so continue. Go ahead. If you want to break the law,
I want to go
floor.
one step further.
Please go ahead.
Okay?
Yes.
And this is, I hope the listeners can, I'm trying to make it simple. I'm not trying to be confusing. I'm trying to get to the point. But, you just saw that the Federal Justice Department convicted federally one of the participants in the LIBOR scandal. They called it the LIBOR scandal.
Okay.
And that LIBOR scandal, and it's an admission. The guy, didn't have the courage to go to a jury trial, so he just pled guilty for fixing the interest rates. And that's what I've been working on. You know that, and I know. I mean, the other shows I've said.
Yes.
They're fixing the interest rates. It's phantom interest. It's a lie. Well, the LIBOR, people don't know what that means, the LIBOR scandal. They're watching it in the news. What the hell is a LIBOR scandal?
Yeah, tell us more, please.
Okay. I need to open with this. LIBOR means the London Interbank Offered Rate.
Okay.
LIBOR. The London that's the I, bank, that's the B, offered O, rate, R. Now, why is this important? And for you people out there that took out loans, and they called them adjustable rate mortgages, which is 99% of you guys.
Okay.
What you didn't know is your adjustable rate could go up according to the LIBOR rate. But it also says in your contract that you don't know because you never read it, and I didn't either when I signed it, but your rate could go down every 6 months. They readjust the mortgages every 6 months based on the LIBOR rate, based on the London Interbank Offered Rate, LIBOR. It's in your contract.
Yes.
In your home loan. Well, what has gone on for 10 years is now that the Treasury Department is offering money at, to the banks at 0.25% interest, that your mortgage should have automatically gone down in the last 10 years, every 6 months, 0.5% per period, which would have been every 6 months, which meant 1% per year. It should have gone down in the last 10 years, according to the contract you signed under the LIBOR rate, which is in your contract. Which means after 10 years, if your interest was 5% or 6% or 7%, had it gone down 1% per year for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, that would mean there would be no interest on your loan.
Wow.
According to the contract that you signed. Because it was tied to the LIBOR rate. You read your contract. It's in there, guys. Look at your mortgage. It'll say, I have an adjustable rate mortgage. My adjustable rate mortgage may be increased or decreased every 6 months depending on the LIBOR rate. And no one knows this except for Luca, Zanna, except for KTOX, that's actually allowing you to go ahead and publicize this.
Wow, I'm learning new thing. I'm telling you, as much as I try to learn about this banking scam, this is something new that
Well, they were convicted.
Yeah, wow.
Convicted by the Justice Department for rigging the LIBOR rate.
Wow.
One guy came forward, and what he did was he, didn't want to do federal time, so he decided to go ahead and, admit that they have been manipulating the LIBOR rate since 2007, the financial crisis.
Yes.
In order to keep people from getting a reduction in their monthly mortgage payment as the LIBOR rate would have afforded them.
Okay, great. I mean, this is something new. I mean, guys, our listeners, sometimes things may seem like, you probably drive, maybe you're home, cooking, whatever. I say, what is he talking about? He's talking about your home. And even if sometimes these talks sound a little bit technical and boring, I know it's not exciting, maybe then talking about, football or other things. Think about, they are stealing your money. They are foreclosing your home against also the laws and the contracts that they're supposed to, fulfill. I mean, this is a serious matter. And I tell you, I like to talk a lot about these things because this is exactly who control our government. It's a private reserve federal system. It's controlled by this banking system. And the heart, as I said before, is the monstrosity called Federal Reserve that is as federal as the Federal Express. And all these major banks out there, pretty much they are part of the scam. And the ignorance is exactly our worst enemy. That's why we got to here learn. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and sometimes even if I don't understand everything now, at least write it down and start to do your research. That's all I'm asking for, and verify the information we're talking. Now, Ron, I would like to ask you, first of all, how ended up, all this Chase lawsuit that you were doing in federal court a few months ago. What update did you have with that?
Well, can I know you are short on time, and I know that this show only lasts a few moments. Can I just finish up on the LIBOR, and then I'll get into my lawsuit?
Please, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Because I want you to know, I want your listeners to know, this is so damn important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The LIBOR gets its name from the London interchange offered rate from the City of London. The City of London is in England.
Exactly.
It's a 1 square mile city. The only other city, there's 2 other cities that are 1 square mile, okay? The other 1 square mile city is the District of Columbia.
Yes.
Now, that's a district. If there's a district, that means a district is a member of a higher authority.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hearing me yet? The District of Columbia. And I know it's like a mental thing for people to understand what I'm about to say. But a district has the central committee, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And a district is only a subsidiary of such, or the same.
Yes.
So the City of London, that 1 square mile piece of property in England,
yes,
controls Washington, D.C. Washington is a district of Columbia that belongs to the LIBOR.
Wow.
Now, it's really worrisome when you realize that the only other district that's been identified so far
mm-hmm.
in the world is the 1 square mile not district, but headquarters, top.
Yeah. If
I can has districts, and it's called the Vatican.
Yes. Let me give you some extra input here. There is some facts you cannot verify, my dear listeners. We had in 1788, the Constitution for this United States of America. Okay, that was the original organic Constitution of the people. Then in 1871. We had an amended version. It's called the Constitution of the United States. And more important, in 1871, and this is a fact, we can talk and debate on whatever you want, but this is pretty much the fact. Exactly the February the 21st, 1871, the 41st Congress is in a session, and pretty much in Section 34, Section 3, Chapter 61 and 62, in this date in history of our nation, Congress passed an act titled, an act to provide a government for the District of Columbia. And this is also called the Act of 1871. What does this mean, really? It means that Congress had no constitutional authority to do so. It created a separate part of government for the District of Columbia. That pretty much is a 10-mile square parcel of land. Now, there is much more information. Just an hour wouldn't be enough to cover everything. But there are U.S. Supreme Court cases, and there are data that pretty much shows that in this date, and I heard about that many times, the 1871, the February the 21st, is a very important date that we should learn about American history. And we pretty much been hijacked from our original constitution to a corporation. America became a corporation. And that's spelled it out. If you go on Google, don't trust me, just do, or whatever search engine you like, start to look, and there is a lot of studying, a lot of researches that brings you fact. exactly the proofs that we are now under a corporation. And the point is, a corporation has shareholders. Who owns this corporation? And I really believe what you were saying now about England, the Bank of England, that makes a lot of sense, more than ever. Go ahead. What do you think about this? Are you familiar about this Act of 1871?
Well, actually, I learned that in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And although I went to college and I received an associate degree in accounting, and I received a bachelor's degree in economics, and I received a doctorate degree in law, not one word was ever mentioned about that.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn that from people like you and from other patriots, and I looked it up. I looked it up myself, and you're right. You're 100% right. And what I'm saying here with this LIBOR scandal, and anybody can Google it, anybody can look it up, LIBOR scandal,
okay.
L-I-B-O-R scandal, Google it. It's a direct connection from the Vatican to the Bank of London to Washington, D.C.
Wow.
That's who controls us. And I was born and raised a Catholic.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Me too. I was born a Catholic too, and I realized and I learned the scam, that unfortunately it's just another king that uses religion to pretty much control people, and doesn't mean that my faith in Christ is less. No, I think it's even more. I just don't want the middleman try to pretty much use, religion to try to subdue us and to do things according to his plan, because we know very well now, for example, and this is not the first pope, but this pope for sure is advocating for global government, global currency, global religion, is part of this Kabbalah of devils. That's my real opinion about that. Now, we have like about 5-7 minutes, and I want you use these minutes for whatever you want. If you want to give us updates about your lawsuit, or if you want to talk about Hillary Clinton from your Democratic point of view perspective, whatever you want. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for that. And, I still can't get over the revelation that I, saw when I read the LIBOR scandal, because, people read it in the newspaper, in the Wall Street Journal, and they read it, and they don't see how it affects them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see what is this LIBOR scandal? Because of course the newspapers kind of color code it. But I'm going to say something. There's an attorney, the one that I appointed on the California Central Democratic Party Central Committee,
mm-hmm.
Lenore Albert, in Huntington Beach, that right now has a federal lawsuit regarding this LIBOR scandal. And she had no idea.
Wow.
She's learning as this is going on who this is. And this is going all the way to the Treasury of the United States. These people from London, and then their people from the Vatican,
mm-hmm.
are sitting in the Treasury of the United States holding our checkbook.
Yes.
What is that checkbook? That is the IRS taxes that every working man and woman and child pays to make an income. They fill out their income tax return. They put that money into the IRS. The money goes into the United States Treasury. And there's this fund that it amounts to about $2 trillion a year.
Wow.
And what we are watching here, what is going on, it's been going on for about 50 years, maybe longer, is that these people are sitting in a position of writing the checks out from the citizens of the United States of America's checkbook. No one's ever described it like I'm doing it here on your show. But it's a real simple principle. There's a $2 trillion income coming in every year from all of us taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Who writes the check? Not the President of the United States. Not Congress. Not the Supreme Court of the United States, all three branches of government. The Federal Reserve Board
exactly
is in charge of our money.
Yeah.
And they're a private corporation, and they do not divulge who owns them, and I found out it's the Vatican.
There are more than one. You know, there's also different families
it's
of
the
bankers.
Vatican, it's the Queen of England.
The Rothschild, they say also Rockefeller family, the JP Morgan.
But that's who Rothschilds work for.
Mm-hmm.
Get it to your head. They're just the financial arm.
Yeah. But the point is,
you know, they're just the fall guy too. They have the money, of course, but who do they work for?
Ronald, but think about the idea, you know, if the American people would stop for a moment, do whatever they're doing, and if they could understand one thing only, that in 1913, before 1913, we did not have this monstrosity. I mean, the American government, the U.S. government, was still in control of their currency, okay? And now, in 1913, because President Wilson and the corrupted Congress, whatever was left that night of Christmas, there were few of them, everybody was out for Christmas night, for vacation, they pretty much gave this sovereign power, this constitutional power, to print money out of thin air to a private entity. Not even backing anymore by gold or silver, but the scary thing is that now every time the U.S. government must ask for $1, that could be for a welfare or could be for anything. The point is we're going to pay interest on the dollar. It's $1 of debt, $1 of destruction, just because this bank has the magic power. And now you know, Ron, they don't even anymore to print anything. It's all digital. It's the biggest scam of the world. And that's how they control every government of the world. They can make completely unlimited money because they don't even need to work for money like we do. And I don't know if you're familiar, Ron, there was this Congress investigation during the Reagan years. I wasn't a fan of Reagan. They have a lot of things I think he did wrong, in my opinion. But one thing he was trying to do right, he was trying to figure it out, really, where do they go, all the income tax of the individuals, what do they really pay for? And this congressional investigation find out that pretty much almost every dollar of our income tax, all it does goes to pay the interest on the debt to this private Federal Reserve. And that pretty much shows that when you pay your taxes, as they say, your fair share, is just a brainwashing phrase because you really don't pay to any service. What you do, you just pay to a private monstrosity of bankers who hijack our government. What do you think? Am I wrong on this one, or are we okay with that?
Well, you're fine, except for there's a flaw in your argument, which
Tell me.
Want to point out.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, you said it's a constitutional amendment, and that, was never a constitutional amendment that authorized the Federal Reserve Board.
Oh, I agree with that. That was, by the way, the 16th Amendment was never ratified.
Because we all are trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I looked for the authorization in the United States Constitution.
Yes.
For the authorization of the Federal Reserve Board, mm-hmm. which I'm calling the Pope now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no amendment. I mean, I'm familiar with the amendments, and I challenge anyone listening, to look at the United States Constitution and look at all the amendments. And you will not see one that authorizes the Federal Reserve Board to be doing business. Really at the end.
I agree with you, and I meant unconstitutional, just to let you know. And there is more, for many researchers and many people as proofs, that you can pretty much see yourself. 16th Amendment was never ratified, and I don't have time right now to go through this, but maybe I'll go another show. But all I said, do your researches. There is much more than we've been told. Ron, I have like 60 seconds. Unfortunately, time goes so fast. Maybe I need to get you another time. Whatever you want to say, 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Well, what I want to say is, thank God for shows like KTOX is permitting to be on the air. And thank God for Love, Guns, and Freedom, and Luca Zanna, because only through our exercise of the First Amendment across this great country will we remain free as human beings. And with that, I'm going to ask you, Luca Zanna, to please play Don't Tread on Us for our Americans that are listening.
Perfect. I'll do that right now, Ron. Right now, guys, don't go away, because after this song, I will have another guest, and we will talk about this mysterious death of several doctors, activist doctors that were trying to warn Americans about the danger of vaccines. And out of the blue, they're dying like flies. So don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Thank you, Ron. Talk to you soon. Here we go.
Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us. Don't tread on us. Now it's payback time.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid,
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid,
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, guys. Now we have a special guest. She's a great lady, by the way. She's a friend, and she's been on the show a few times. Today, we're talking about this conspiracy. I want to call it a conspiracy, but, conspiracy means it's real. It's not mean that it's something just in your mind. There is a plan. There is a plan to destroy humanity, enslave it, and also at the same time to make us sick and eventually to reduce the population. This is pretty much my conclusion after having evidence of several facts. I said before, a big part is going to be also implemented in this plan with the vaccinations. This is not just happening right now in America, it's happening all over the world. The governments pretty much, they are trying to force vaccines on the population. I mean, I'm not talking about 100 years ago when there was the polio or some other very specific, diseases. We're talking about now hundreds, over 120 vaccines that the little baby starts to be pretty much forced since he's born all the way up. And the sad thing, we said already, governments gave immunity to these corporations who produces vaccine. So there is no accountability, so they can do pretty much whatever they want. And it's not just about the money, in my opinion. According to my analysis, it is not just about profiting on us. There is worse. Unfortunately, this vaccine is proven to pretty much destroy our immune system, and this is not me being a doctor, it's just me reading what doctors and also universities, some universities, of course, many of the medical establishment, they've been pretty much paid off. But anyway, we have some sort of a very disturbing information around the nation in America. Several doctors, mostly, that they are opposed to the vaccines. and these government coercive vaccines, they are dying like flies or mysterious causes. Some they're disappearing. But I have a lady that my friend, Mrs. Kristen Harper, that she's been pretty much following this with very much dedication, and she has some updates for us. Kristen, are you there?
I am here, Luca. Good evening.
Good evening. So, Kristen, right now it seems like, these vaccines, they are trying to push it everywhere. California, they passed this legislation that is remind me of Nazi Germany. Can you give us a little bit a reminder exactly what happened in California the last few weeks?
Yeah, just the last couple of weeks here, last few weeks, SB 277 passed in California requiring all children that go to school to be forced vaccinations. And, and we've talked about this, you've always talked about this on your show, but the question comes down to who owns our bodies, us or the government, and it should be a freedom of choice. And so, we need to fight this, and people really need to get active in California and try to get this repealed. This is just, we're losing our rights. Parents are losing their rights. And it's all over the country, this push for vaccines. There's this bill, this nationwide bill that they're trying to propose right now. A congresswoman from Florida, she's trying to pass it nationwide, requiring all children in the nation to have these vaccines if they go to school.
Yes.
And then there's also, like, for example, Dr. Ben Carson, who's going to run for president. He believes in forced vaccines. There's a big push in this country right now.
Exactly, and this is my point. We have two different problems here that they are very important. First of all, the philosophical aspect. You said before, who owns our body? Us or the government? The moment that the government is forcing to do something, but especially when we have this sort of a condition, I'm not endangering anybody else. And people say, oh, you don't have a vaccine, you're going to be creating problems. No, because if you believe in vaccine, you're safe. Get your vaccine, get also one for me, I'll pay for your vaccine, and go ahead. So you are pretty much saved. Now, since the people believe in this logic that the vaccines will keep you safe, so if I don't get a vaccine, I should be left alone, because I'm going to be the one pretty much paying the consequences. So first of all, it's a philosophical aspect. We become slaves when the government can force a product or a medication in our body with our consent. Number two, there is also a very important thing. It's proven by doctors, by researchers, and also just by, if you have two eyes and a brain and you can read, all you got to do is read the side effects when you got in the packaging of these vaccines. There are still pretty much some little bit of a display that show you the side effects and the dangers of vaccination. Do you have anything basic names that we can say, mercury, everybody should know about this mercury, also the thimerosal? There are pretty much a lot of bad stuff. We have no idea really what they put. What do you think about what's going on in this vaccine? It's so bad.
There's a lot going on, Luca. Vaccines only give temporary immunity, and, for people to really build up their immune system, they need to be focusing on a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle. That's where you're going to keep your immune system strong against these diseases, right? And, these vaccines, there's toxins in them. There's, cadmium and lead and aluminum and mercury. And there's been an increase in, because of the increase in vaccination, there's been an increase in autism and delayed development and much more. And people, what they really need to do is they need to do their research, do their homework. There's a lot of doctors and researchers out there that have this information of the side effects when it comes to vaccinations.
Yeah, and also another important thing, I think is very important. When the government, it gives immunity to a corporation, that pretty much we have no recourse in front of a law in case they do some bad product. I don't care where you stand, guys, on vaccine. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. That's enough. Should give you enough food for your thought. Just some reflection, just thinking for a moment. You think you're really going to trust your government just because they say you got to take this product? And by the way, if this product is going to harm you, was going to pretty much damage you, you have no recourse in front of a judge or a jury. Right there, I would say there is something that stinks. What do you think about this immunity that was given by the way, it started with the Bush administration? I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. So it's a protected industry, so people can't sue. If people were allowed to sue, there would be less vaccinations on the market. And also Congress passed this, they actually put this in place. It's a vaccine compensation program. So for every vaccine, I think it's $1 that's taxed. That money is to pay off, families of children that have actually been damaged from these vaccinations.
Exactly. So right there, guys, I'm not yet trying to convince you, seriously. At this point, my philosophy is very simple. You do what you want, but just don't bust my ass. Don't tell me what I should do. Don't you dare to come to my home and tell me that I need to force a vaccine to my child or my children or my wife or my women or whatever, myself. Because this is the line that I draw in the sand. I don't care. This stuff used to be Nazi Germany, and for all the goody-goody kiss butts out there that really love the government so much, and you trust everything it's doing, and you really come with a mentality that because you think you're so smart, you arrogant piece of crap, and you tell me that I should get a vaccine because the mob say so, you have no idea what's coming after that. This is for me almost it is as important as the gun issue. Try to touch my guns, I start the revolution. I don't even start it, you started it. I'm going to pretty much follow you up. Okay? And the same things you're going to start 1775 again. Guys, try to put this first vaccination. I think you're going to have a big something coming in your face. So I'm sorry to sound so harsh, but I'm really mad about this because I see where it's going, Kristen. This is a trend. And I talked with the little office there in Florida with this representative last couple of shows ago. All we can do now is start to let them know that this is not going to happen. Because if it happens, that's fine. But I think for me this is a line in the sand. Is it for you something so serious that you would pretty much risk also your freedom just to say no? Somebody comes at your door and I say, you got to put this vaccine right now because we say so. Would you comply?
I would not comply, and that's actually my number one line in the sand right there. I would refuse the vaccine. I will never get one. I don't want toxins in my body,
exactly.
Period. And it comes down to freedom of choice. Let the parents decide.
Exactly. And even if this was the most beautiful and, vitamins and the elixir of long life, I don't care. Don't tell me that you forced it on me. Now, let's talk about these good souls of doctors that really... I've been feeling so sorry about these people that they've been dying out of the blue. You did a little research out there. Tell us exactly what happened the last few weeks. What's going on? Some doctors out there is dying. Why?
Yeah, there's been a lot going on here in the past 30 days or so, and I'm not giving any medical advice just to let people know. I'm a nutrition consultant, but I'm not giving any medical advice. But as far as the sources where I got all this information from, include HealthNet News, also InfoWars, and Natural News. And what I came up with in the last 30 days, there's a total of 9 dead doctors, 1 missing doctor, and this is pretty much just, there could be more, but I'm just focusing more on Florida and the nearby states. And then there's also 3 doctors in Mexico that have been missing as well, and I did not include them in the count because supposedly the authorities found their bodies and they're stating that those are the doctors. However, the family members are stating that those are not their loved ones. So 9 dead, 1 missing, and then 3 missing doctors down in Mexico. And then I'll just kind of go through each of these doctors here, and I'm starting off with I'll do the most recent last. So June 19th, 2015, Dr. Bradstreet, MD, autism researcher. He formerly lived in Florida and then was now practicing in Georgia. They found his body in North Carolina with a gunshot wound to his chest in a river. Wow. And small-town locals ruled his death as suicide. And he was a very special man just based on what I've researched about him. He was helping families whose children were damaged by vaccines, especially those with autism. And he had a special place in his heart for those that have autism because his child ended up getting this illness due to a vaccine routine schedule. And I think it was practiced too. They did detox protocols there to remove mercury because they believed that mercury was involved with autism because of these vaccinations. And then on the same day, June 19th, 3 doctors from Mexico, they ended up missing. And they were traveling down to the state capital of Mexico, and they were delivering papers, and authorities found their bodies. Wow. But like I said, the families stated that these are not their loved ones. So the families are demanding more proof and more testing. So right now, we just don't know if those are the bodies or not. I mean, the families are saying no, but the authorities are saying yes. And then this list goes on and on, Luca. I can't believe this. June 21st, on Father's Day, 2 dead chiropractors in Florida. Dr. Holt, 33. Dr. Hedendahl in Florida, and they actually were both found in Florida, but Dr. Holt was living in North Carolina, but he was in Florida visiting at the time, and they both were dead in Florida. And they were both described as being very healthy, very fit, and there's still no cause of death at this point. There's still an investigation going on. And Dr. Bradstreet's body was found in North Carolina 2 days prior to Dr. Holt's death, who also lived in North Carolina.
Wow.
So Dr. Bradstreet's body was found in North Carolina, and Dr. Holt actually lived in North Carolina.
Wow.
And Dr. Holt was actually visiting Jacksonville, Florida, where he died there. And what was interesting, though, about Dr. Holt, his practice, his chiropractic practice, they really focused on holistic there. So they were teaching, like, nutrition classes, exercise, aromatherapy, and more.
This is so important. I want to put you 1 second on hold. Guys, listeners, if you want to stop for a moment, whatever you're doing, because this is not just we try to freak people out. I wish all this didn't happen, and maybe it's still a coincidence. I don't know. But let's use our brain. You use your brain. Everybody's a different brain. Start to see things, the trend, what's going on. I mean, one thing, it can be just a coincidence. Two, maybe a bigger coincidence. We're talking about 9 people that we just know. And let's not forget, you mentioned Mexico, talking about doctors that against vaccinations, they try to do their duty to try to defend the health of people. That's pretty much supposed to be the the oath of every doctor of Kristen. I forgot the name in English. Help me out. The hypocrite. Anyway, they're trying to do their duty, okay, to defend life. And you see these doctors mysteriously are dying. I would like to remind that all these names, they're there. You can Google them, and they're also on the news, local news. And speaking about news, on the New York Times, there is an article that says Mexico vaccination suspended after infant deaths. Mexico public health system has suspended infant vaccines and began an investigation after 2 babies died and 29 were sickened in a poor community in southern Mexico. The Mexican Institute for Social Security said 6 of the 29 babies were in grave condition after getting vaccination for tuberculosis, rotavirus, and hepatitis B. Now, I say something. Think about it. This is mainstream news, New York Times, okay? This is not even on Love, Guns, and Freedom radio show. So, and this is just a little part of what we know. There is a plan. The plan, and there are people out there that if you dig a little bit, like that piece of garbage called Bill Gates, that there is a video, Bill Gates, vaccines, depopulation. I will play a little clip right now. Pretty much admits that vaccines are used for human depopulation. People like him, Ted Turner, they all think that they have this sort of, semi-god status. They can have all the kids they want. I mean, Ted Turner has 5 kids, and they tell us that we must have only one child only policy, maybe. So there is a plan. The plan is not just to stop the population, but to depopulate. Did you ever heard about this Bill Gates and this story about he admitting it that we must use vaccine to try to control the population?
Oh, yes, I've actually seen videos before on that.
So, and did you heard about this Mexico vaccination that pretty much they have to suspend, this vaccine? This is pretty big go to the mainstream news, and this is only what we know. I mean, think about it. I mean, how many people died? Maybe we're not even aware. So what do you think? I mean, Krista, you are even you are not a doctor, but, you're pretty much vocal out there, and you try to warn people about these dangers, according to, we don't need to be doctors to have our First Amendment, our opinion. Should we be worried a little bit here? What do you think?
And just, like I said, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a nutrition consultant, and I do hair analysis and nutritional balancing. It's just more of a holistic approach, okay? Mm-hmm. And I've been doing it for over 6 years, and I believe in it just because it helped my health and it's helped my clients out. And I got my first hair analysis back in 2001. So I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe in it, you know? But what I'm seeing going on, and I just believe in freedom of choice. People should be able to choose what type of health care service they want, and the government shouldn't force that person. So what I'm seeing with all this going on with all the doctors and everything that's going on, we can't jump to conclusions right now because there's still investigations going on.
Yes.
But basically, a lot of questions out there right now from a lot of people are, why is all this going on? Is it really to keep people sick and stop people from healing? Because there's ways to heal the body naturally. There's other ways to heal out there. So is it just their intention to keep people sick long term? And because if people are sick, it's a profitable business, right? Big pharma is big money.
Yes, I mean,
and so if people were healthy, there wouldn't be a need for all these hospitals and oncology clinics and chemo and medical drugs and vaccines and all of that. It's all about, it comes down to what people are asking out there. It just pretty much comes down to big money and keeping people sick and really wiping out the holistic way of healing, and to really keep the drug-based medical care system in place, to keep it, the industry in control and in power.
Listen, I agree with you, and that part is true. It's about money, but I came to a deeper conclusion.
Okay.
At least a more radical. I don't know, radical, but it's more than the money. They have this. Remember, behind all these insurance companies, behind all these big pharma industries, there is always the same shareholders. The international bankers or the big five corporation bankers, they own everything. They can print money out of thin air. It's not more about the money. Yes, there is also a way to create this sort of a system that is compartmentalized, so everybody's going to do their job to try to implement this plan, and that's going to be the money factor. But the real planners, in my opinion, according to the data and the study that I've been doing, it is pretty much about controlling the population. Once you're sick, you depend. You are like a slave, especially now with the new Obamacare that you guys beg to have some sort of a care, and you must submit all your rights, to the government. But more important, at the end of the day, they really believe, and this is, I know something that it took me a while to digest, and at the beginning I smiled, and maybe I said, maybe this is crazy. And probably you listeners, and maybe people the first time they're listening to this, Luca is completely crazy. But let me tell you exactly what I believe now, according to my studies and research and evidence. They want us dead. They want to reduce the population by at least 80% out. Okay? Because we have too many. And then, as I said in the first part of the hour, I pretty much lay out the different type of way they implemented this, the population. Now, Kristen, I want to let you go, but I want to have people the chance to reach you if they want to know more about your services, what you do, how they can maybe have some of your, even counseling, how they can reach you if you have a website or a phone number you want to give out.
Yes, they can actually contact me. My website is perfecthealthconsultingservices.com, or they can call me. I'm located here in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, but I do work with clients worldwide, and they can reach me at 928-606-3984. And I do, like I said, I do the hair analysis and nutritional balancing. So if people have, it's a great way to determine if you have any mineral imbalances going on in your body and any heavy metal toxicity. And, this program will help to balance your body chemistry naturally through, a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, and also detox as well.
Perfect. And I want to say one thing, guys. As you heard, this show is kind of different from the average commercial radio show, talk show, whatever. Even in the most conservative, radio host or national news or whatever, they're not going to talk bad about these things. Or not bad, just talking the truth or their opinion based on facts. Because when you listen to the news, when you watch a radio, a cable, a network, you know that 50% of the sponsors, they're pretty much big pharma. And what do you think? They're going to talk about against the hands they're feeding them? So that's the way. If you want to keep this show free, and of course I wouldn't do any other ways. I'm here because I can still say what I want. The moment that they tell me to shut up, I'm out. And I'll do it somewhere else. I don't care. But the point, if you want to keep this show free, and first of all, to allow me to say pretty much not what I think only, but also what I believe is true, because it's not just about opinions, it's about facts. Please go to my website, zanna.us, or go to lovegunsfreedom.com, and even with just 99 cents, you don't need to buy the whole CD, you can download any of the songs, and you can keep the show free. Kristen, I want to thank you, I want to hug you, and please stay in touch with us, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks for everything that you're doing, Luca.
Thank you, thank you. And now let's play this piece of garbage of Bill Gates that pretty much is telling us how we have to reduce the population through the vaccines. This was from one event called TED. These, geniuses, they get all together and they give their pats on their back. Anyway, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't go away after this because we're going to have a great second hour with guns.
Over 26 billion tons. For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton. It's an average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. The second factor is the services we use. This encompasses everything. The food we eat, clothing, TV, heating. These are very good things. Getting rid of poverty means providing these services to almost everyone on the planet. And it's a great thing for this number to go up. In the rich world, perhaps the top 1 billion, we probably could cut back and use less. But every year, this number on average is going to go up.
This is what I think about you, Bill Gates. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM network. Here we go, guys. This is Luca Zanna, and welcome to hour number 2, second hour, Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and also on United States.FM network. Now, this is the hour we talk about guns. We had guests in the past, and I'm having a lot of guests, and I like that. Something that I think it's important to have other people's, other minds out there, try to interact. Now, once in a while, I need to pretty much just stop for a moment and try to, I like to share my mind, not because my mind is so important, but because it's almost a way to communicate with you. I really believe that even if I don't know you, I don't know. I feel I start to know you. And sometimes I feel the need to pretty much have a little bit of quiet and just share with you what's going on. Now, the first hour we had news and we had a little bit of this information, very important information about vaccines. Final hour today, just to let you know, is going to be all about important information regarding, first of all, alternative medications. That means with nature, using herbs. And as I said, I'm not a doctor, but I will have a special person that's going to help us out with this information. And also more important is my pretty much general vision of what's going on, that we are under attack. We are under attack in every way, and I really believe there is a conspiracy to kill us as humanity. It's a slow, soft kill. And meanwhile, they want to pretty much keep us incapacitated, that we cannot even operate. Now, this hour it's about guns, but before we go into guns and news, I have a lot of great information. I would like to remind you, who is the most important weapon, or what is the most important weapon? It's you guys. It's your person. It starts with your brain. If you don't have a brain that is somehow, efficient, clear, not intoxicated, your brain is the most important part of your system. So that's something we need to really understand. And also another important thing, I really believe, it is also your body. So, yeah, you want to have weapons, you want to have training, and we know that, a mindset. But we must start to understand that one thing every warrior out there has in common. I don't care if it was the warrior from the Roman times or the Greek times or a soldier, some basic fitness. And I'm not saying here that you must become a bodybuilder or some sort of a health, freak. That's your choice. But at least to start to know that you have a body and you must know your limitations. Because sometimes, I really go out there, I see a lot of good people. They try to do their best. They believe they want to keep, themselves ready for emergencies and, every type of information that could be like, martial law and fighting tyranny, fighting evil. Great. I'm all with you. But then it's all in their mind. And pretty much they are on the wheelchair, or they don't even try to walk from the couch to the fridge. They use probably, their dogs to say, go fetch me a beer. Seriously, I'm not kidding. So this is so important. If we are seriously dedicated to pretty much get into this mindset, that is our duty to, in this life, to stand against evil. I don't care what type of evil. Could be the evil robber out there, the person who wants to kill you, murder you, or rape you, and rape your dogs and your daughters. That type of evil needs to be fought. And yes, a weapon could be a great tool, but at the same time, maybe not every time you're able to have a weapon on you, or maybe you need to struggle for the weapon. And, it takes a few seconds to realize how much really in bad shape you are. So this is pretty much the focus of this first part, We are the weapon. Our brain must be at the best top shape we can. I will talk now in the second hour, all the different type of attacks that we are, from the water to the food, to the meat, what type of meat you're eating, to the vaccines. And, people can laugh at me, that's fine. But, I'll bring you keywords and pretty much facts that you can verify on your own if you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't have desire to boss you around or even just to say, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, you do what you want. But at the same time, I want to give you this information, that at least you can make some sort of a decision. If you want to let yourself go and just go with the flow and just being pretty much, bombarded with all these toxins and all these different type of poison that you take and you pay to take this type of toxins, they pretty much, they don't just make you fat. That's not even the problem. They make you dumb, they slow you down, and they make you weak. So that's the bottom line. So we are the weapon. That's number one thing. Now, today there are a lot of things I want to talk. First of all, I want to talk about good information about when it comes down to, for example, realizing that Arizona is still number one state among the all 50 states of the Union, pretty much that has the best gun laws for people, for citizens. So I think it's very important. Because I say, first of all, can be done in every other state. I really believe. Arizona, we're still human beings here. We have our own problems. Don't get me wrong. Nothing is perfect. But I really believe that we have worked so hard the last 20 years to create a state where at least we have one thing that is, I believe, is exactly as the Constitution, as the Bill of Rights and our founding fathers was created at the beginning. It is, we have the right to keep and bear arms. Shall not be infringed. Period. So I really believe it's something to look into that, and I tell you also something, I have a lot of friends in California that, I really believe that they deserve better because, I feel the pain for them. I was in California 2 years ago, And, guys, don't get me wrong. It's good to fight. But sometimes it's good also to regroup, to find a better place where you can enjoy life and already have a group of like-minded people that already pretty much, created the ground to have a little bit of peace and freedom. So come to Arizona. Seriously. If you're one of these people that believe in freedom and believe in the Second Amendment, just cross that river. I'm telling you. I know this radio station is broadcasting from California, but, I'm in Arizona, and I feel sorry for my brothers and sisters in California who wants to have the Second Amendment right. And, speaking about, complete tyranny, speaking about complete disgusting, laws that not only are against the Constitution, but also against common sense, okay? This is directly from Los Angeles Council. The city of Los Angeles passes high-capacity magazine ban. Okay, they call it high-capacity magazine. I call it, standard capacity magazine, because my Glock, for example, my Glock 17, the regular magazine is 17 rounds. It is not considered a high capacity. But, the hypocrisy of these bastards, first of all, let's go back. In California, they are pretty much, 15 years ago, California banned the sale and manufacturing of high-capacity magazine, okay? But no, they did not ban the possession. So you could pretty much grandfather some older magazine. Now, because, they really think that this is going to stop the problem, okay? For example, let's see, these mass shootings we hear about in the news so often that the names of the place have become part of the national lexicon, said Councilman Paul Krekorian, between parentheses, rat, I call him a rat, Columbine, Sandy Hook, Isla Vista, Aurora. These are places that have been gaining new significance to our nation because of the tragic mass killings that have occurred in those places. Yes, let's not forget all these places that were gun-free zone, scumbag, Councilman Paul Krekorian. High-capacity magazine, as you call him, I say standard capacity magazine, but regardless, they have nothing to do with this. That's called, first of all, evil flourish where there is no good people armed to defend themselves. So that's the number one problem. But now with this new ordinance, the city of Los Angeles pretty much thinks that it's going to close an important loophole for public safety. So now pretty much the funny part that regular serfs, regular slaves like citizens, they cannot own anymore an older magazine that pretty much was considered high capacity, even that was bought before the ban. But no, not for police officers that they are retired. Because, for example, now the police officers who are retired, they have a special treatment. Of course, they are pretty much, the overlords. And slaves do not own high-capacity magazine, but the police officers, even if they are retired, in their private life, they can. So think about this. Just think about this. And when I say this, guys, I say it's time to pack your stuff and come to Arizona. Simple as that. So, one thing to talk. Now, let's not forget, we had a couple of weeks ago, Chris Chang, you remember Chris Chang, top shot on History Channel? It's a great guy, and, it's a competition shooter. Great guy. I really like him a lot. And I had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. We talk about training. We talk about, of course, his story is pretty much a success story. And how he became a professional shooter, completely starting from another type of trade. He used to be one of these geek guy at Google. Think about it. So unbelievable. And he lives in San Francisco. Okay, imagine the stress for this guy to train with the real weapons. You can even have, high-capacity magazine. Anyway, but regardless, we had a great idea together, and we pretty much launched this win, a competition, it's a contest, win free front site, diamond membership, $15,000 value with Chris Chang and Love Guns and Freedom radio show. So every one of you listening right now to the show, listen for a moment carefully because this is important. You can win a free front site lifetime diamond membership of $15,000 values. You can go to front site every time you want for the rest of your life. Attend any classes you want. All you gotta do is bring your ammo, okay? Now, how to participate to this contest? First of all, I already said, front site has nothing to do with this. I am the one sponsoring Luca Zanna, okay? And my radio show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. So give me a praise to me at night, little prayer when you go to sleep. Now, how does it work? How did it work? I donated this membership to Chris during the radio show, of July the 19th, 2015, because I wasn't sure. I thought, maybe Chris, he wasn't a frontside member yet. But he already was. Great. So Chris said, you know what? Give it to somebody of your listeners. I said, great, but let's make it work to get to the chance to add this membership. First of all, if you want to participate, you should be, or you must be, an American citizen or a legal U.S. resident. You must be over 18, have no felonies or domestic violence convictions. Otherwise, you're not going to be passing the background check. Okay? That's important. Now, what do you need? What you need to do, from 5 yards, okay, open carry, no concealment from the holster, hands down, you present your gun and deliver 1 round to center mass without muzzling your hands or yourself, and you want to hit the center mass target in this type of radius no more than 10 inches. So you want to have a center mass, make a circle, 10 inches. Okay, so your round, it's not a group. 1 round must be delivered within these 10 inches. And the time, it's less than 0.9 seconds. Okay, less than a second. So, 5 yards, open carry, from the holster, hands down, present your gun, and deliver 1 round to center mass in less than 0.9 seconds. Now, you want to use a timer, because we want to see this performance on video. You record it, you upload the video on YouTube, and in the title you say, Chris Shank on Love, Guns, and Freedom Contest. Then at the end of the test, this shooting, if you want to say a message, say hi to Luca, love you, and I'll send you some wine and ammo, great, that's fine, but not mandatory. Important is that you show the time and you show this performance. Then what you do, you go to lovegunsfreedom.com and you send me an email. You can see my email directly there. I give it to you right now. Zanna@zanna.us. You send me the link of this YouTube where you show that you can shoot in less than 0.9 seconds from the holster. Okay? So, the winner will be selected by myself, Luca Zanna, and Chris Shank, and he or she will win this free lifetime diamond membership at Frontside Nevada. Now, when is going to end this contest? October the 19th, 2015. So don't forget. Now, also, the winner will also receive a personalized and autographed copy of Chris Shank's book, Shoot to Win. So it's kind of Christmas here without being Christmas. Think about it. I thought it was kind of neat. One of you guys can be pretty much having this great opportunity without spending a dime, okay? So think about it. If you want to have more information, go to lovegunsfreedom.com, and you can see on the homepage there is the photo of Chris Shank, you can miss him, and there is the link with all the information about this. Now, what else? There is so much to go, too much to go. I would say, first of all, we need to talk a little bit about, we were having a conversation about what is the best gun for self-defense in the house. We said this many times, we had different type of ideas in the past, but, I am always receiving more and more phone calls or emails about this topic. Last week we had Linda Gilstrap, that she's an amazing lady. I'm very proud of her. She's the typical lady that just 1 year ago, she hated guns. And she thought everybody must have, many permits. And more important, we need more gun laws, more gun restrictions. And now, 1 year later, after our little conversation we had 1 year ago, I wasn't trying to convince her. I was just trying to bring some logic. To be like, I talk to a sister, talk to a mom. That's it, All I'll say, though, of course, you don't need to have guns. If you don't want to have guns, that's fine, but don't touch my guns. But regardless, she had an open mind, she had an open heart, and she did her researches, and more important, she started to use her brain, and she saw that after 1 year, all these gun laws and all these gun-free zones, they don't stop a bad person. A bad person didn't stop at the Columbine school or at different type of places like the theaters and all these things that were considered gun-free zone. And that's exactly the point. Think about it. How the government can continue to pretty much push this propaganda that gun-free zones like in a school, or like, I don't know, the post office, or like, even private businesses, or think about the theater, or even worse, look at these poor Marines and at this recruiting office in Tennessee. I mean, think about it. This is just illogical. It's completely crazy. And then, of course, we have with this Marine that he was trying to defend himself. He shot back. And now there are news that he's going to be charged because he's supposed not to have a gun on the place. This is pure madness. Unfortunately, it's not madness. They're doing it by design. But regardless, this is part of the plan. They want us disarmed. Now, another important thing, we were talking about before, and I will really go into the third hour about this. We are the weapon. That's why we got to keep ourselves at least aware of the different type of chemical, biological attacks our body is pretty much being abused every moment of the day. And we must get some sort of fitness. And I'm not saying you got to join a gym, but at least start to use your body. Start to see you can walk. Start to see if you can run. Start to see if you can bend over. Start to see if you can kneel. Start to see if you can squat. Start to see if you can walk around with your gear. Don't have that gear just in the, on your couch, with your rifle. And it's great. I got 200 magazines there in that gear. I got 100 pounds of ammunition. And then when you try to put it on it, you pretty much have a heart attack. Let's start to be real, okay? This is not a video game. So, but we will talk about that more in the final hour. Now, today I want to say, first of all, we were continuing the conversation I had with Linda Gilstrap. We were talking about, first of all, what is the best weapon for self-defense for anybody. I don't care if it's a man or a woman, but for sure somebody that is just starting. We were going last week between, the revolver and the semi-auto, like a Glock or like an XD, Springfield Armors, some sort of a gun that is easy without safety and has high capacity. I call it high capacity. Anyway, higher capacity than a revolver. Yeah. Why you think the cops carry high capacity magazine? Because they know that under stress, even a good marksman, under stress with adrenaline, and you never know, first of all, if you're going to face one or more opponents. So it's always a tactical advantage to have as many ammunition you can in that magazine. Of course, I also, I always say we have to train for tactical and also emergency reload. So that's very important, Emergency reload, you can pretty much switch, replenish a new magazine in less than 1.5 seconds. I show it to you on my video. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com. Myself, without warming up, I can swap a magazine, an empty magazine with a fresh one in less than 1.5 seconds. So that's important. But meanwhile, it's good to have a gun, as I said last Sunday, especially for the home, that you have as many ammo as you can in that magazine. Now, let's move from the handgun, okay? We already discussed that. Now, people say, the shotgun is the best tool. You know what? Yes or no? Shotgun is great, for sure, from 0 to, I don't say 0, let's say from 5 to 25 yards, it's devastating. So think about it. You are in a situation that you have your room, and you are barricaded behind the bed, and you have, the entrance door of your bedroom. Let's say you have 10 yards. That's powerful. I mean, at that distance, I don't care if you go with 00 or if you go with even burst shots. You got a lot of lead you're going to go through. And I'm telling you, probably is one of the best tools for that type of situation. But shotguns, first of all, let's start to remove this sort of a myth. Like, I hear many times when I go around, I cringe sometimes. I try to keep my mouth shut, I don't want to sound like, oh my gosh, I know it all. No, I don't know anything, but sometimes I know it. And this is stupid, what I'm going to tell you right now. When you hear somebody that, I have a shotgun at home, and when pretty much, they get close, all I have to do is click, rack it. That's the dumbest thing you can do. First of all, my round is ready in the chamber. I don't want to wait in the dark to make noise. Number one, give my position away, so I'm going to get shot, okay, and waste an extra split of a second that I need to round the chamber. No, there is no noise to do in a tactical situation. But regardless, the shotgun has some great advantages and also some disadvantages. First of all, the great advantage is powerful. and very versatile. You can go from bird shots, you can go to 00, you can go to slugs. I mean, the slug is the most powerful round we have right now in the civilian arsenal, seriously. And there are some slugs that are also made of pretty much steel, like the monolith. I mean, they go through, engines. I tried that with an engine. I mean, boom, like butter. So slug, you can really have a lot of power there. There is a problem though with a shotgun. First of all, you need to understand the over-penetration. So be sure you got the right caliber, the right type of ammunition, okay? And a little bit of recoil. So we have, and I would say keep it, if you can, 12 gauge. If you really are small and woman, you want to go 20 gauges, that's fine. Better than nothing. But keep it 12, and if you want to buy low recoil ammunition. Meanwhile, we're receiving emails here, by the way. This noise is I'm receiving emails from my listeners. So anyway, it's very important, you need to have something that you can manage. Now, as I said before, even if you get just bird shots, okay, like number 7 or number 8, in a very close environment, let's say 10 yards, 8 yards, I mean, that would be devastating. They would be knock some people down. But the point is, what I'm saying is, you need to understand that if you operate in a house or in an apartment, you need to see, first of all, who is your neighbor, and you need to see who is on the other side of the wall. If you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't worry about that, or your walls, they're pretty much, ballistically strong, you can think big. But if you need to think that somebody may be behind that door, and maybe there is another person, you need to always, first of all, be sure that you see your threat. So every shotgun, I don't care which weapon, shotgun, handgun, rifle, you always want to see who you're shooting at. You never shoot, just thinking there is somebody there in the dark. So light must be mounted. Or at least you need to be able to identify the threat. So shotgun, at least you have a chance to pretty much change according to the scenario, the type of round. If you want bird shots, 00, or slugs. Now, that's the powerful thing. You got power and versatility. Now, the down things, the down points. First of all, as I said, you have a little recoil. That's fine. With training, you can manage that. And I'm not going to tell you how to do it here because I'm not going to be able to train you over the radio. But the point is, if you go anywhere else, good instructor, with a good posture, it's like you're riding a horse, a wild horse. You need to take control of the shotgun. You need to ride it. Okay? Don't let them ride you. Okay? There is recoil, for sure. Not that much if you do it right. If you keep that stock of your shotgun and you pull it into your shoulder, you will feel it bad. It's not bad at all. I remember when I shot my first shotgun, I was about 9. And I was in Italy. My uncle, I remember, he made me shoot, at the time it was a 20 gauge, semi-auto, Beretta. I was painful. And I didn't want to give up because I enjoyed it. And it was fun. On top, I was a little bit of a ego. But I remember the day after, I had all my shoulder black. And let me tell you, there was, I didn't really have technique. My uncle was telling me what to do, but, I was too young probably. But the point is, I shot, and I realized that you need to keep that stock steady inside your shoulder. You don't want to let it loose, otherwise it's going to destroy your shoulder. Now, so shotgun must be trained. You must train. Now, if you have a semi-auto, of course, you must be sure you got the right ammunition, because otherwise you may have failures. Must really be sure you check your ammo. And if you have a pump, hand pump, don't think just because it's hand pump, you're going to be ready to go. It takes a lot of training with hand pump. I mean, to be efficient, you must really train. Now, another limitation with the shotgun is you have limited rounds. Normally you have 5+1. Or if you have, for example, like my favorite shotgun, Mossberg 590 A1, you have 8+1. 9 rounds. That's not bad. But think about it. 6 rounds or 9 rounds compared to a Glock 17, you got 17 rounds. Or an AR-15, you may have 30 rounds. Or an AK-47 pattern style rifle, you have 30 rounds. So there is kind of a limitation in rounds. But you have also a lot of power. So it's a tool that you must train, you must know it, and you must use it in the right place. Now, for example, where I would not like to use a shotgun. Let's say you have a house or an apartment with a lot of corners. And you have to go around the house because, there is a noise and your daughter or your son is pretty much as a room, his bedroom or a bedroom across the house. So you can just say, okay, now I'm here and waiting. No, you got to go there. Now, to go around with a shotgun, unless you're very well trained, it's going to be pretty much dangerous because every time you turn a corner, you may be they may grab your shotgun. Okay? So something that I would not suggest. That's why a limitation there. But if you're in a static defensive position, let's say you are in your bedroom, you are pretty much in your consider like your safe room, and you're monitoring that entrance, that somebody's breaking in, try to kick that door, and you know that they're coming down. And at that point, you gotta pretty much find your best position in that room to try to draw the line in the sand. The shotgun would be an incredible tool. I tell you, just, one round of 00, that would be enough to knock any human beings down and also animals. Okay, seriously. Now, another important thing, since we're talking about home defense. Every one of us, or, just give you some ideas, you should think about a place is the safest place of your home. I'm not talking about a safe room. That's something that takes a lot more time and energy and money to put together. But at least a place that, if there is an emergency, you know that in that place you're contained and you can keep your family safe. Meanwhile, help comes. It's on the way. Let's say, for example, it's your bedroom. Whatever room it is, you want to do a couple of modifications. First of all, you want to be sure there is one entrance only that you can control. You don't want to have all these windows that pretty much can people, sneak in from the back and shoot you in the back. Number one. Number two, you want to have a place that, if you can, reinforce that door. You don't need to put a complete, armored door. You can there are some special dedicated frames that you just put like in part of the frame. You keep your original frame, but these are like attachment made of metal, steel. They cost about $70, and they really reinforce that door. Then put a better quality door. You don't need to spend $1,000 for a safe door, but between that and these interior doors that, they're pretty much made of paper, get some metal door, get something a little stronger, okay? So try to work on that room. That would be the room where you pretty much you keep your line if you have to. In this room, you want to be sure you have, first of all, always a cell phone. You have an emergency kit with you. You have, of course, a regular phone line. And you have a little bit of basic ammunition more than normally your gun. So let's say you have your handgun, get some extra ammo. If you have, for example, your shotgun, whatever you have, extra ammo. Now, let's say somebody's breaking into the door, okay? What is the best place you can be, or you should be? For sure not directly in front of the door, because that could be a direct line of attack. Somebody's breaking the door, they see you, they shoot you, boom. And more important, it would take less time to somebody to charge you. So the best place, according to my humble study, because I study, I'm a professional student, I go out and pretty much I try to learn from everybody out there. That's what I do. It is pretty much on one of the corners of this room. So let's say you open the door. You don't want to place yourself in front of the door, but you want to be pretty much almost at 90 degrees on the side of that door. So at that point, in that place, you should have at least a corner that you can create some sort of cover. No concealment, cover. Remember the difference between concealment and cover. Concealment, you're just pretty much hiding behind that curtain. But the curtain is not going to give you cover, offer you cover. That means can stop a bullet, an incoming bullet. So create an environment that between furniture, or maybe just make some panels, or create some sort of, you can make a little wall. Something looks almost, decorative, artistic. And you can create a place that you can pretty much have a foxhole. You can hide behind it. If they shoot at you, you're not going to get shot. So that's very important. I really believe that's one of the first important things. In that place, you can keep your shotgun, you can keep your ammunition. Always have a little extra water there, because you never know. You may be trapped in their room for a while. So that's the bottom line. Now, emergency kit. I have one, and learn how to use it. And I will come back more and more during the next few episodes with experts, pretty much, that will tell you how to start to at least understand the concepts, because you cannot learn this stuff over the radio, but at least understand the concept, how to treat a wound, how to treat a stab, Okay? Basic things, and have a little kit, emergency kit that you can use and you know how to use. So, shotgun, as I said, great tool, great power, great. You have a lot of ammunition you can change, every type of different things. You can also use, this, I don't like this non-lethal dummy stuff made of gum or whatever, but guess what? People like it. You can have a lot of things, but for sure you can keep it with bird shots, 00 and slugs. You have an incredible tool. Now, train, and also understand that in confined environment can be very dangerous to use because they can grab it very easily, especially if you're not trained. Especially if you're not trained in a fight, force to force, hand to hand. So that's number one. Now, from there, what is the next type of weapon we may have? It's a rifle. Rifle, normally people think, in America at least, AR-15. Great. It's a great rifle, don't get me wrong. Great benefits. It's light. You have 30 rounds. You can easily set up like a light, like you should set up a light on your handgun or on your shotgun. That's one of the basic things you need in a home defense weapon. You want to identify the threat. You want to have your hands available. Think about it. How it would be difficult to use a shotgun without a light. And what you going to do? Hold the light with one hand and shoot with the other one? No. So maybe we can do that with a handgun, and that's fine. But always have a dedicated light for your weapon. It's very important. So, rifle like an AR-15 platform, it's great, has great benefits. The round is not too over-penetrating. Normally 62 grain, or 5.56. It goes through the walls, especially these cardboard walls or whatever, dry walls. But nothing to compare to shotgun, not even to compare to even just a slug of a 9mm, So, but still to consider that. Now, there are a little bit of things that you must understand. After all, a 5.56, it's used, for, let's say, 62 grain. It is not even can be used for hunting big game. Because, think about it, you cannot really shoot a 62 grain a deer and thinking that it's going to go down the first shot unless you hit it exactly the right spot. So there are some limitations, especially close distance. Somebody's charging me at 20 yards. Well, yeah, I'm sure it's going to hurt a lot, 3 or 4 rounds of 5.56, and probably, if the person is not dedicated, it may go down. But if somebody's really big and is dedicated, I'm telling you, unless you're getting really in the right spot, I don't think it's going to come down like you hit him with a shotgun, okay? Or even if you hit him with a big round, like a 45 or 40, I don't know, even a 9mm, if you can give him 2 good rounds, you got pretty much 147 grains against 62 grain of a 5.56. Of course, 5.56, you have a lot of speed. We're talking about over 3,000 feet per second. So, there are some great benefits, and, light, low recoil, a lot of rounds, dedicated light, but at the same time, my opinion, if I to get close combat, I like to have a little bit of more grains, a little bit more mass. That's why I always say for home situations, where pretty much there are no dangers of over-penetration, that means I do not live in an apartment, I like to have an AK-47 with a 7.62x39. I think it's the ideal for me weapon if I am in a household with no worrying about who is the next door. That means I don't need to worry about over-penetrating walls or who is the next house. But, there is always a compromise. Now, remember, even a carabine like a AR-15 or an AK-47 rifle, you must think that it's considered a long weapon. So you must train to be able to open doors, to be able to pretty much go around the house, going through, around corners, and be able to keep and retain this weapon in case somebody's trying to get it from you. So that means training. And you cannot just read a book about it. You must find the source to train. There are different places out there, but start. Now, so that's something that I wanted to go through today. So we talk a little bit about home defense. We talk about pretty much on this situation with what type of weapon to choose. At the end of the day, as I said, though, you are the weapon. You know, if you have, like, let's say, a machete, that's fine. If that's what you have, are you willing to use that machete? Are you able to use the machete? If you have a rock, I right to have somebody with a rock but knows how to use the rock and is willing to use it to defend his life or his innocent family life, or than somebody that has the most expensive rifle out there and he still didn't realize what he wants to do when he grows up. Seriously. So that's something that I want you to think, because I really believe, unfortunately, times they're going to get rougher. They're already rough. Crime is going up. In many parts of the states, you know, home invasions is a regular day, and now, unfortunately, hate crime. You know, you see more and more of these videos. You're targeted just because you have a different color. And I don't care which color. And this is wrong. This is wrong. It's wrong if you're white, targeting a black. It's wrong if you're a black, targeting a white. This is so wrong. They try to divide us and separate us, and put us against each other by design. And I'm telling you guys, you know, I was even born here. I don't want to be all this stuff. Don't start to talk to me like, you know, oh, white privilege. White what? I was in Italy. This is just a joke, okay? It's not about white or black privilege. It's about them against us. The global elite against us. They call us the serfs. We are not slaves. We are not serfs. At least we have a weapon. We have the right to defend our life and our freedom. Now, speaking about slaves and speaking about tyrants and kings, Obama is coming through now. Pretty much, you know, he has this new great gag order on firearm-related speeches. This was from June 15th. Excuse me, from June the 5th. I already talked about this in the past, but now it's coming through. That pretty much, you know, it's going to happen because the public comment will be accepted on this proposed gag order until August the 3rd, 2015. Okay, and now we passed that date. Now, if I remember you, now we'll see the next few days what we were talking before. And the bottom line is that this is a regulation that pretty much Obama is doing, is using, is like with his pen, like a king, to pretty much to try to stop our First Amendment on guns, on blogs about guns, on the internet. And this is under the unified agenda of regulatory objectives, you know, that the Obama State Department has been moving ahead. Okay? So anyway, bottom line, this is so important. And I don't care, guys, you know, whatever they're going to do in the future, they can write laws that they're not even laws, like Obama doesn't write laws. He's just a little king. He can write that he's God. Doesn't mean that he is. Doesn't mean that I will follow. Doesn't mean that I'll be alive. That's fine. But at the same time, I will pretty much, you know, do what I have to do as an American, as a human being. I will answer to my consciousness. Now, talking about ugly places to live that you really should pack and come to Arizona if you can. Another story from New York. You know, retailers, including Walmart, Sears, and Amazon, have agreed to halt the sales of lifelike toy guns in New York. So the state attorney general, Eric Schneiderman, said that the retailers also have agreed to pay over $300,000 in settlement. So now, if you're in New York, and if your kid wants to play with a little gun, okay? I mean, think about it. 2 generations ago, one generation ago in the 50s, people used to play with the real rifles, okay? I see these videos, you know, at school, training with rifle. And now you have this scum, pretty much, that he completely, in this, they want to castrate you, not just physically, but also mentally. You cannot even have anymore a little toy for your children to have fun, or maybe just to teach them that, you know, even through a gun toy, to a toy gun, you can teach great principles of safety and also how to handle a weapon. I tell you, if I had a child and I want to start to share with him this importance of safety and how to use a weapon, I would start definitely with a toy. And it can be so important. But now in New York, not only there is not the Second Amendment, you don't even have anymore the right to have fun. Seriously. So that's just another part of the news. And if you live there, as I said, my dear friends, you do what you want. And I pray for you, you know, because I love you. And I just think that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all Americans. But damn it, why you even there paying taxes to pay the salaries of this bastard? Just grab your truck or car and put everything inside and drive all the way straight. There are so many other states. If you don't want to come to Arizona, that's fine. But we have still great places in this state, in these United States. Okay, I mean, get out of there, seriously. So that's another important thing. Now, everybody heard about probably. What's her name? Sarah Palin, okay? She's not my favorite, honestly. She's not somebody that I would vote for, but sometimes she's right, okay? And on this one, I think she's right, I mean, Sarah Palin pretty much recently just said that the feds are stockpiling bullets for civil unrest. I mean, she's a personality. She's not just some conspiracy theory, okay? So she's a former governor of Alaska, okay? And she warned in a public speech that the federal government is stockpiling bullets in preparation for civil unrest. And pretty much America is finished, and if you cannot deal with this debt problem, and we know that there is no way, they're increasing more and more the debt by design. They need to completely destroy this machine to rebuild a new one. It's going to be called the New World Order. So, what can I say? Even her, she's pretty much repeating what we've been saying here for months, for years almost now. The Department of Homeland Security are committed to purchase another around 2 billion rounds, and more thousands of automatic assault rifles. They call them assault rifles, whatever. Anyway, they got probably the real assault rifles, the one with the selection, with the selector, the switch selector. Okay? When people call our AR-15 an assault rifle, you are completely ignorant. An assault rifle is only defined when you have a switch selector from full auto to semi-auto, from semi-auto to full auto, or to control burst. Okay? So that's no way. We don't have assault weapon without a special Class 3 permit. Okay? So now, anyway, that's the point, guys. And this, the truth is that they've been buying the feds more and more ammo, and one thing is, regardless why they're doing it, they pretty much created the scarcity of and prices went up. So I tell you something, you do what you want, but I really believe now more than ever, you need to start to think about, put priority. You go out for dinner, fine. You have extra money, do it. But if you have your own budget, think about it. You rather to have a dinner today, or you rather pretty much to have, 10,000 rounds of ammo when really things are going to get nasty, and you're probably not going to even be able to find a round anywhere around your area unless on the black market. So think about it. So anyway, now, there is a lot of stories out there. We always hear about bad stories, the psycho people on medical, legal drugs, that they all have one thing in common, these mass murderers with guns. It's called psychomedication, okay? The media don't want to talk about it because most of these mainstream media, all of them, they get paid big bucks. Most of the sponsors, at least 50% of the sponsors, they have these big pharma companies. So they will never really address the reality, this common denominator that they have, all these crazy people. They go out, they want to blame it on the little southern flag, or they want to blame it on what? On racial? The bottom line, one thing we should blame it, not on the gun, not on anything else. These people have one condition. First of all, they're evil. Yes, I agree with that. But evil also gets completely multiplied thanks to these chemical medications, FDA approved. They make you completely crazy, drive you crazy, seriously. And this has been proven. Go out and Google it. Every mass murder had one thing in common with with guns. They were all on some medications. And by the way, I'm not trying to give you medical advices. If you don't like what I'm saying, you want to go complain to the FDA, go there and cry. I don't give a damn. Seriously. Okay? I'm not here to give you medical advice. I tell you what my brain can read is my humble opinion. If you don't like it, screw it. Just turn the radio off. So, yes, we should understand that. But there is also once in a while some good news. For example, you probably never heard on mainstream news that a mass shooter in Cincinnati, Ohio, was just stopped in his truck by a law-abiding person with a gun. A 62-year-old gunman took aim and fired on 4 people, including a 1-year-old boy. Okay? People had been looking everywhere for a cop because pretty much, where is the cop when you need him? Seriously, think about it. He's not going to walk on your back. So, this man started to harassing a woman and then pretty much started to shoot people around. Guess what? A citizen who was armed with a self-defense pistol and a concealed carry permit saw Thomas McCary arguing with a woman, this is the name of the scumbag, Thomas McCary, around 8 p.m. Sunday night, and decided to make sure everything was all right. Okay? So, at that point, Ewing didn't get hit. I mean, this is the guy that pretty much was there trying to stop it. But he got his own gun and returned fire, wounding McCary in the leg. So think about it. There was this crazy person in Cincinnati, Ohio, harassing a woman, started to shoot at people, everybody looking for a cop. Guess what? And the only person who stopped him was a law-abiding citizen there carrying a gun. No mainstream media touches this stuff. This is disgusting, but this is part exactly of the reality that I will tell you in the final hour. There's a big conspiracy, my friends, and it's not a conspiracy, it's reality. Pretty much these bastards, the elite, control everything. The first thing they control was the media. They started to control the beginning of the century when they started to buy all the newspapers, okay? The biggest newspapers, and then they control the local newspapers. So think about it. So, and why they are so obsessed with us not having guns? When I say us, we the people, they call us pretty much cattle, serfs, slaves, because they know the moment that we wake up and we start to understand what type of scam and what type of abuse we've been stolen all this money, the fruit of our labor, since pretty much the beginning of the century with the creation of the Private Federal Reserve Act. When you understand that, my gosh, I would be afraid too. I would be afraid too. So that's pretty much the story. Now, another news before we go to some music, because I really believe that, today I wanted to do something different. I'm going to have a great guest next Sunday, but today I wanted just to share with you my brain, where I am, a little bit of ideas, training, and also, of course, news. Muslim free gun shop slapped with lawsuit, okay? A Florida business owner who declared his gun shop a Muslim free zone following the terrorist attack in Chattanooga, in Tennessee, is now facing a lawsuit due to the policy. The Florida chapter of CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, have filed a federal lawsuit against Florida Gun Supply and its owner, Andy Alinen. Now, I don't know where you stand. I'll tell you my position. If you really own a business, you should have the right to pretty much do whatever you want. If you're not collecting public tax dollar, you should be able to say, what, I don't like your face. Forget about you're a Muslim or you're a Christian or you're a Jew, whatever. I don't like the smell of you. I don't just want to be your slave. The moment that I am forced to serve you, that means I am a slave. Okay? Like we talked a few weeks ago about the gay marriage and this ordeal with the pancakes, not the pancakes, the little, cupcakes, whatever, cupcakes, and the cakes and the lawsuit with the Colorado little business. It's insane. It has nothing to do for me about gay. Like this is nothing to do about, what do you want to say, Muslim. No, it's about freedom. If tomorrow, let's say somebody says, we don't like wops, we don't like Italian. Fine, I don't care. You have the right to lose or make money the way you want. A business should have the right to lose or make money the way they wish. And trust me, somebody doesn't like wops or like Italians, I'm sure there are other places that like that. They like my money. Same story for Muslim. Maybe there is a Muslim. Muslim should start a gun shop. Okay? And some more Muslim would go there. This is the most important thing, guys. It's about property right. It's about freedom. The government should not coerce me to serve anybody. Otherwise, I'm a slave. Anyway, guys, we're almost here at the end of the hour number 2, second hour. I want to remind you, I already said every time, and I'm not shy to repeat you one more time, I need your help. I need your support. Okay? This show, it is an act of love. And for me, the time I take from my life, take from my business, and everything else, is pretty much something that I do it because I like to do it. It's my mission. But at the same time, I need your help. at least to compensate some of my pretty much expenses. So if you want to help me out, please go to lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a music section. You can download any of my songs, or just go to Zanna Art, ZANNAART.com. And then you can find out pretty much, most important thing, you can find out my music, also my paintings, and I also have some little nice souvenirs. For example, I have a beautiful Second Amendment hat, or come and take a hat for $10, or anything you see there. Whenever you buy it, you support the show. Now, another important thing, I want to remind you that I have a new type of situation that you can help the show and also make money. So if you have, let's say, a retailer shop in the area of this broadcasting, or if you also have an internet shop, you can just pretty much contact me, and you can get my CDs. I can give you all my CDs at wholesale price. Simple as that. And you can sell them. And I also plug you on the show, and I also, of course, advertise you on my Facebook, and I also advertise you on my website, Love, Guns, and Freedom. For example, this week we have a beautiful, I'm so glad that this is happening now in Golden Valley. It's called Golden Valley Mercantile. It's a surplus, okay? Military surplus, tactical gear, politically incorrect flags, stickers, t-shirts, and hats, basic instruction in self-defense and firearms. Then Golden Valley, Arizona, Highway 68, 4195 North, Highway 68, Golden Valley, Arizona. And also you can get their phone number, 928-565-4195. What they do, they sell my music. They're not even my sponsors. They just sell my music. And you know what? I want to help them out to sell my music. So if you want to buy my CDs and you live in Golden Valley or Mohave County, you don't want to pay for shipping, you want to pay cash, you want to see somebody in face, go to the Golden Valley Mercantile, 4195 North, Highway 68, Golden Valley, Arizona. Okay? Say that I sent you and get my CDs, and you can help the show in this way. Buy my music. I appreciate it. Now, we are pretty much ready for music, talking about songs, ready to go, and then ready for hour number 3. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't go away. Ciao.
One night, I had a dream.
that we are not afraid.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network. Here we go, guys. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States to the FM network. Final hour of love. Before we start, I want to remind you one of my pet projects. I really like this idea that I came up like maybe almost 1 year ago at this point. freedomlovers.us. It's a free, 100% free, and I really mean it, free, no credit card asked website where you can join to meet and find like-minded people who believe in freedom. And the idea originally was to create a sort of a dating place where you can meet like-minded people. And when I say like-minded people, what it means? Doesn't mean that we need to agree on everything. But one thing we agree, we respect each other, and we have our own individuality, and that's the bottom line. We believe in freedom, okay? Now, also, the idea expanded, we have more than just dating. There are also people that they are welcome. Everybody's welcome. People who want to network, people who want to communicate with others. There is a section for trading, selling, free classifieds. You can post blogs. Try to also meet people that you could really create a network. So go to freedomlovers.us. And remember, not is really free because somebody's paying for it. And this is the show. And myself, we are supporting this project, and I hope one day, with your help, we can all make it bigger. Now, today's final hour, it's about love, as you know. By the way, I'm broadcasting today in my mobile studio, and I don't know if you can hear background noises. You will hear probably some thunderstorm, some chickens, some dogs. I'm loving it. This is a new way to make radio. I like to go out there, Anyway, so today with love, it's a very important topic, We talk about different type of love, and different type of things. Today it's my attempt, and I say attempt, to reach out humanity. And when I say humanity, yeah, I'm in America, and I'm an American, but I believe that unfortunately, this is not just an American problem. This is now all humanity is under attack, is in danger. Europe, Germany, Italy, France, South America, Africa, everywhere. There is a conspiracy out there. And you at this point can realize how much deep you want to go. And I came up with this conclusion after years of studies. And once in a while, I pretty much give you my full perspective. Sometimes I just try to focus on individual aspects of this conspiracy. The conspiracy is that pretty much they want us dead. And when I say, they want us dead, because that's the first thing, people are going to say, well, look, are you crazy? I mean, come on, what's going on? Yes, there is a plan, and it didn't start today. It's not about Obama. It's not about Bush. This is a long-term plan. And we will focus not now on really who is behind, but I will find a focus on exactly facts. That then people may say this is just by accident or just for an extra buck, but facts that pretty much show and prove that we as a human beings, we are really in danger, and they want us pretty much create a new subspecies of almost subhumans. And unfortunately, wants to reduce the population. Now, and that's the bottom line. And this is not happening anymore like, during the World War II, people load up in trucks and go into the gas chambers or just in front of a execution, platoons ready to be shot. No, it's a little more sophisticated. So I will go today to this different type of, at least scratching the surfaces of what's happening to us as humanity, how we can defend ourselves from these dangers, because the first thing we must do is to admit that there is a problem, okay? And only after we can see the problems, we can somehow try to defend ourselves with knowledge and sharing this knowledge. And then also, of course, I have a special guest, that I'm really glad she's with me today, and I will introduce her in a few seconds, is pretty much the final part of the show. That means not only acknowledging the problems, but finding solutions. She's a herbalist. She's an expert in pretty much try to heal yourself with the nature. And that's exactly the most powerful thing we can do. Start to create positive solutions to defend our family and our little world. Now, let me start to introduce her, because I think that's the most important thing, so we can go together with her about the topics I was going to talk today. Kat, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. Just to let you know, how is your last name exactly? How do you spell it? Ellis?
Ellis, E-L-L-I-S.
Perfect.
Ellis.
So nice to meet you. And where are you calling from?
I am in Massachusetts today.
Perfect. And give us a little bit about your background, because I like always my listeners to know who we are a little bit, what is your professional background, and also what is your human background. I mean, I know you're a mom, so give us a little bit who you are.
Okay, so professionally speaking, I'm an herbalist. I have a background in holistic health in general. I'm a massage therapist. I had a massage practice for quite a long time. I only closed it when I had my daughter, and childcare became an issue, and I ended up being a full-time mom for a while. But I reopened my practice, a portion of my practice, which is the herbal practice. So that's the only portion I kept open. I've been working with herbs now for about 20 some odd years in that ballpark, maybe a little longer if you count working with herbs for more like making things that smell pretty, or like creams or things you put in drawers, like decorative things. But medicinally speaking, herbs for the therapeutic value, we're looking more in the 20-year ballpark. So I work with people locally in the southeastern Massachusetts area, and most of my local clients tend to have hormonal or endocrine issues, which is a complicated thing. But I do work with people via the internet, so there's a whole range of things there. But I also focus on herbal medicine as a form of primary care for emergency preparedness. I wrote a book that's geared towards preppers or survivalists or homesteaders if you happen to live, further out, maybe you're not near emergency services. But there's just in case, there was ever a time where you could not access a pharmacy for an extended period, what would you do? So,
perfect.
So I wrote a book on that. I have a book coming out that's focusing on pandemics. So that's maybe a couple more months coming out. But so I write, I blog, I have a website, I do podcasts, all about herbal medicine though. Give us the focus.
Give us your website so people can start to look at you, please.
Sure, it's herbalprepper.com.
herbalprepper.com. I also will post a link on lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, question. I have a first question, please. You are not a medical doctor, correct?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. So I like to say that out there, because the purpose of this show, we are not here to try to give you medical advices, but we are sharing our own opinions according to our own beliefs and facts and brain. So for all the government bootlickers out there, they think, oh, here we go, Zanna is trying now to become a doctor. Grow up. This is my First Amendment, and whatever I'm going to say today, it is my opinion. So if you don't like it, just turn it off. And if you like so much the FDA, go there and enjoy whatever the medication they're giving to you right now, okay? And get one for myself too, please. Now, I start this part of this segment with this statement that I came out a few years ago. A sick population cannot fight a revolution. It cannot stand for freedom, but it will be dependent and will defend the same system that is keeping it in bondage. So this is, for me, the most important thing. We must understand that, look around, Kat. I go outside. I go sometimes shopping, stores, whatever, big stores like Walmart. And I look around humanity, and I see how almost is transforming in a new species. You see young people that even 40, 50 years ago they would be in completely, like almost a different person. I mean, when I see a woman in their 40, I consider her young, okay? And I see that she's walking, she's not walking anymore, but she's on one of these wheelchairs, not because she has a broken leg, but because you realize, and you can see exactly for what she puts in her basket, okay, in a shopping cart, that she's the result of most of her problems. You can see maybe not just the overweight, but all the different type of problems that she may have. They are results of what she's been eating, drinking, or just being inoculated. And I start to cringe and make really my heart cry, because I realize, just watching the movies, documentaries, how America changed the last 50 years, how the average American changed. I mean, people didn't eat. They could eat the same ingredients. I'm not talking about, what you should eat meat or fish or whatever. I'm talking just eating the same type of basic ideas, ingredients. Now we have a new type of problems created, because the food that we're eating today is not more food. It is pretty much contaminated with different agents. Don't you see this change, almost like a new breed of humanity is coming out of this new generation, thanks to the food and type of drinks that humanity is drinking?
Well, I've got to make a few comments.
Yes, please.
Because I understand exactly what you're talking about. So let me tell you, when I was going back maybe about 15, 20 some years ago, I went to visit someone in Germany, and it was a very interesting experience because, I went over there and I must have, because I was on vacation, certainly indulged. And I ate everything that supposedly you're not supposed to, eat, all the potatoes, all the sausages, all the cheese.
Uh-huh.
I drank like a fish with the beer. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying myself.
Yes.
And let me tell you, I came back 10 pounds lighter in 1 week. And I have friends that come from Poland who they said when they got to this country, the only things that they could taste were the taste of sugar, and the taste of salt. And that was it. They couldn't taste anything. And of course, over time, they began to adapt to that. And then when they went back to Poland for a visit, again, same thing happened. They were eating very similar things to how they were eating here, but they just dropped all this weight very, very quickly in a matter of a week or 2 weeks. And I have other friends that come from other European countries. Same thing. When they come to the United States, all of a sudden they're starting to put on weight. And you can say, well, maybe they walk more over there, but it's not the same thing. It's really not. If you look at the way that we produce our food, everything in our food system is designed to. I don't know whether you want to look at it as a design or whether it's just like, wow, this, the way this all worked out, it's setting us up for weight gain and other problems too, cancer. There was an official from the FDA or the USDA just recently. I think it was I'd have to look at my Facebook page, but she I want to get the quote where she was defending. I believe it was not genetically modified foods. It was Roundup and the residual that was left in food. And she said, of course it causes cancer, but only if you're having, doses over a period of time. Well, isn't that what you're doing when you eat? Of course.
Wow.
Of course that's what you're doing when you eat. So how can you say that using that is not going to cause cancer? No, of course, one dose isn't, but it's the same thing that happens whenever you put any of those lotions or potions you get in the beauty section from your pharmacy or your local Walmart or wherever else. When you put that stuff on your skin is porous. And whatever you put on your skin will eventually absorb, into your tissues. And if you look on the back of those things, if you cannot pronounce the stuff on that list, you shouldn't be putting that into your body.
Exactly.
A number of those are endocrine disruptors. And, once you start messing around with your endocrine system, weight becomes an even more complicated problem because there are 3 hormones that will make it nearly impossible for you to lose weight. One of those is cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And if show me someone in the United States that's not stressed out, first of all.
Yeah.
Just that's the
That's
first
true.
thing. Our lifestyle is not at all conducive to, being healthy when it comes to stress. Stress has a role to play in cancer. It has a role to play in weight. It has a role to play in more than you realize. It changes the chemicals in your body.
Kat, let me stop you
yeah.
1 second. I want to, address. There are so many things I would like to touch, but we're gonna unfortunately, we can do what we can in this hour. First
Sure,
of all,
yeah.
I want to put out this concept to the people out there. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
This is the purpose of what we try to do here. It is not to tell you what to do. You do what you want, but at least to give you some extra information that if you want to be fat, it's your choice. I have no problems with that. But if you want to be, for example, a regular human being, okay, and you realize that something's wrong, and you don't know because you're not being told. And unfortunately, this is part of the problem. They use this ignorance as a tool to keep us pretty much in the state of almost bondage. We must at least try to find out what's going on. And how can we defend ourselves and resist this attack? I really believe we are under an attack, chemical, biological, from different aspects of our life. And I'm not saying that everybody is part of this conspiracy is doing with the intention to harm us. I understand that this is also very much compartmentalized. And the idea also, is motivated by economic gain. So some issues could be just, they want to try to make an extra dollar. By the end of the day, I really believe this is a plan to completely subdue a population. If I could give a book, one book only to invite my listeners to read, is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I really believe everybody should read that book because that's pretty much like almost a blueprint for humanity. What they want to do, this elite, create some sort of a subspecies of human that pretty much is being alterated through food and medications to be a subservient. So now let's go straight to the keywords, okay? Because I tell you, there is so much we can do. First of all, I would like to start to think, I'm going to throw out at you keywords. Then I will try to briefly analyze each one. Genetically modified food, GMO, okay? I mean, you mentioned before something very important, Roundup. The same company that pretty much is behind this monstrosity, the GMO, Monsanto, is also behind Roundup. And as you said, that one of the dangers that, first of all, this GMO, that they try to hide from us. They try not even to give us any more the opportunity to decide if we want to eat them or not. That's how the government is being pretty much operating now under the control of these corporations. The problem is this is not just some fancy thing you think, maybe, what's your problem? Eat and everything's fine. No. There's been university studies, like, for example, in France, that after just 3 generations of mice, lab rats, that they were pretty much fed just with GMO corn, only 3 generations, they became, first of all, sterile, and they have all these alterated cancer and tumors modification in their intestines. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I read the study, and I saw the images of the mice. They did another one with the images of the mice. Did you see the one where they tested them they just gave them the GMO food, and then they ended up developing tumors? I mean, huge tumors.
Yes.
But yeah, they're bothering. They're interrupting the way the endocrine system, your hormone system, the chemicals in your body, about how they impact fertility. Mm-hmm. And then they're also impacting the body for cancer growth. Now, if you've ever known anyone who's had cancer, and I'm going to guess that just about everyone listening to this has known someone who's had cancer because it's so prevalent in one shape or form or another, you know that when someone gets cancer, that becomes their entire life. Their entire life becomes about medical appointments and medical treatments and drugs, and that's it until the end. That's the way it ends up going. If you know someone who survived cancer, they're part of a very lucky few people. But it's on both ends of this, on the food end of it and on the pharmaceutical end of this, you have one industry, and it's a chemical industry. And the chemical industry is reaping in the benefits of this at the very beginning, from when they get the farmers to grow the seed that contains some of the plants have pesticides within them. Mm-hmm. And then some of the genetically modified foods are so that they can withstand Roundup. So there's two different types there. But either way, it's still by the same group of companies, Monsanto, Syngenta, Bayer. All of them have, they all have a hand in this, but Monsanto is sort of the poster child. And that's part of the chemical industry. And then on the other end of it, you've got the other end of the chemical industry, at the end of life. So they're causing the problem, and, cause and effect. They've given you a problem, and now they're going to give you the solution.
Exactly.
So they cause it, and then now they're going to, get you on the other end over here. And the only thing that you can do, really, is you can try to avoid it as much as you can. You can grow your own food, and honestly, considering the economic implications, I'm really surprised that more people don't grow their own food. I mean, when you're on a budget, these are cheap. Really, they are. And it's, if you have the option of growing, and there's all kinds of ways of growing indoors now these days. So
exactly.
People are very, crafty, and they're very creative. They found ways of all sorts of ways of doing this. So
exactly. 1 second, Ollie. Let me ask you something. This is exactly the point. Yeah. It is not just the GMO food itself that is damaging to your system, okay? And it creates all these different alteration to your body. The problem also that this GMO vegetable, like for example, let's say soy, okay, that is resistant to this Monsanto herbicide, okay, it gets completely impregnated and intoxicated, become toxic food even more, because pretty much it can hold all these levels of pesticides without dying. So when you go to eat that GMO soy, it is not just this GMO that is terrible, it's also all the levels of herbicides, in this case Roundup, that you're eating. So this is very important.
Systemic.
Exactly.
It becomes systemic in the plant. You can't wash it off.
Yeah.
I mean, the other problem with soy, it's pervasive throughout the whole, our food system. And that was one of the three issues that I was saying. It was cortisol, the next one would have been insulin, and the third one would have been estrogen. And soy will nudge the balance of your endocrine system to be heavy on the estrogen side. It contains phytoestrogens. It acts like estrogen in the body. There are, with as many people who have estrogen-sensitive cancers, it blows my mind that doctors wouldn't say, hey, you might want to lay off the soy. And then you'd start reading labels and see how many products that soy is in. And, basically, you should not be, if you are going to the grocery store for food, if it comes in a box, you shouldn't be eating it. Just avoid it. If you stay to the outside of the, and even then it's going to be tough, because along the outside of walls of the grocery store, they've got the meat and the dairy. And don't get me wrong, I eat plenty of meat and plenty of dairy, and I'm not telling anyone not to, but source it differently. That, if you can possibly source it differently, please do so, because, and if it were my only option, I will say this much as I love a good ribeye, because I do, but if my only option for having steak, or my only option for having dairy products for the grocery store, I would probably become vegetarian.
Yeah.
Because of how they're raised, and I know that it's not just the hormones, the artificial hormones that they give the animals. I know they're saying that they don't do it now, but, then there's some funky labeling stuff there. But you can't really trust that. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is that they give these animals antibiotics. They're supposed to stop that process several weeks prior to slaughter, so there isn't a residual. But it's we've changed the animals. It's not the same meat.
Exactly.
And I don't buy for a single minute that they actually stopped the administration of the antibiotics, or that they stopped the administration of the RBHT or whatever the hormonal thing is. Look, they want to grow the biggest animal in the shortest amount of time possible in the filthiest of circumstances. That's it. Yep.
Perfect. That's exactly the next topic I was going to say, estrogen. Now, you see humanity, for example, how the average man, I'm not trying to pass judgments, okay? If you want to be gay, that's your right, whatever, I don't care. But what if you're a regular man, and if you want to be straight, and you realize pretty much that by design, they try to destroy your masculinity. They try to remove your testosterone in you and substitute with the new hormone that normally is supposed not to be your body, in this case, an estrogen. Look at this right now. Our little girls at not even 9 years old, they already got boobs and already got menstruation. Period. Look instead, our boys and men, they used to be men, now they have become all feminized. This is not an accident, guys. This is not an accident. If I start to eat all day food that contains estrogen in high quantities, I'm going to transform in a woman. I want it or not. So now the fact that they may try to do it for an extra $1, because estrogen pretty much in cattle retains the water, so it grows faster and it's heavier. And when you go there, and they make more money. But the point is still the result is the same. Now we have a new humanity. Think also about it. If I was some sort of enemy of a country, and I would like to pretty much start to subdue it, and to remove that natural instinct of survival that normally man has. Normally the man is the fighter, the warrior, the man who stands up against evil to defend their tribe, to defend their family, to defend their nation. What do? Transform it all in feminized. And don't get me wrong, I know women that are much more, got more balls than many men that I know. But the point is this is a plan, and you gotta watch it. Estrogen, they are everywhere, especially when you don't want them. Food, meat, and there is, of course, also the antibiotics we were talking about. And I'm not saying that you should not become, if you want to eat meat, that's up to you. I don't care. This is not about being vegetarian or not. This is about understand that today, when you pay for your high-priced piece of meat, there is not just meat. There is a pharmacy inside. You got antibiotics, you got growth hormone, and of course you got estrogen. So you better start to understand where you can get real meat without all this other stuff. So,
and you can go online and you can look things up. You can find farms that are raising grass-fed or cows or pastured pigs where they're not, loading them up with this.
Exactly.
They're out there. You can find them. If I can think of any good use for a tax return, get yourself a storage freezer and go order yourself a half a cow, and you're going to pay less for that cow.
Yeah.
And you'll have all of your meats right there, and you don't have to go to the grocery store for that, and it won't have that pharmacy stuck inside the meat, and you don't have to worry about that. But the thing is that I know someone would argue that, there's not enough estrogen in the meat to make those changes. But it's not just that. It's multiple doses from multiple sources over a period of time. It's regular doses from all sorts of sources. They accumulate, and you get other sources of these chemicals, other endocrine disruptors, things that make the estrogens even, won't say worse, when you compound the entire picture. When you get BPA that is so prevalent in the environment,
yes,
on top of all of this, when you look at the chemicals, some of the petrochemicals and the synthetic chemicals that are in your personal care products that you're layering on yourself, all of this all together, if you look at them individually, like you were talking about compartmentalization, if you look at them individually, the single application of hand lotion with, whatever fragrance is in there or so on, that's not going to do anything to you. Your body was designed to filter things out. Your liver is a fabulous organ. It's designed to filter that stuff out. That's a single dose, a single application.
Exactly.
But when you're doing it every day, and you're getting these chemicals and other aggravating chemicals from multiple sources every single day, sometimes multiple doses a day over the course of years. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to change you.
Perfect.
And that's why,
let me tell you this,
yeah.
since you mentioned, this plastic, BPA, guys, we're just touching and scratching the surface, okay? I'm just trying to throw at you keywords. And then you can laugh at us, you can laugh at me, that's fine. But if you're curious to see exactly what is behind every of these keywords, take the time. And then if you want to prove me wrong, that's fine. I don't care. I wish I were wrong on everything here, okay? I'm just trying to really much share this information. BPA is a very important component. Every plastic bottle that you drink water, okay, or even just when you get these cans, they are loaded of this BPA. And go figure it out exactly. This is part of this estrogen that pretty much, even me without being a doctor and with my accent and not much of education, I can read, I can go online and find out what does to your endocrine system, and to everything can completely compromise your health. And more important, you don't die immediately. Because if you think, you just eat something like that, you die, that's easy. No. You become part of the system. You're going to start to get sick. And remember, a sick population will never fight the revolution, will never stand up for their rights, but you will be dependent on the system that wants to enslave you. Now, we got to go forward because unfortunately there's so many other topics here. One thing that really breaks my heart when I see a lot of ignorance out there just following the orders of these, or just ignorance doctors, or many of them, they are no ignorance, they are just paid off by the big pharma. It's about vaccines, okay? I remember when I grew up in Italy, all I took was 3 vaccines, I guess, no more than that. Now the average child, since the moment, the first day, not even the first hour is born, till the first 6 months, I think he gets 100 stabs, okay? Insane. And now more important, I really believe, according not to me, but to what pretty much facts and some of these globalists that we're saying, like for example, Bill Gates promoting population control through vaccinations. And we have facts out there, for example, like, even Catholic doctors speak that the tetanus vaccination campaign is all about population control. UNICEF is completely involved. Go Google it out. Look what happened in Mexico just a few months ago. That pretty much they were giving these vaccines to these poor villages, and half of the kids, they were almost going to die. They were getting so sick. Now, this vaccine, for me, is something so deep. And it's not just about making money to an industry that is out of control, that has no liability, because now, the government pretty much created a shield against any type of a lawsuit. So you have a product that has no responsibility, no accountability, but they try to force it on you, like in California. There is much more than just making millions of dollars or billions of dollars. This is also, believe for me, the real motive is to pretty much create a weaker population and also to create a potential new way to sterilize people. Now, let's just tell me if what I'm saying, I'm completely crazy, Kat, and that's fine if you think that, but what is your input on this?
Well, it's all about marketing, and when you involve marketing and money and profit with medicine, and don't get me wrong, I think capitalism is a wonderful thing, but perhaps with this, we might want to just think about what we're doing. Now, when it comes to vaccines, like we refused when both of my children were born the Hep B vaccine, because when I was researching them, because every mother researches these things, when they're pregnant, and it's just one of those things. When I was researching it, I read that originally these vaccinations, the Hep B vaccine, was intended for IV drug users and prostitutes. These are behaviors, and I'm reasonably sure that for the infant stage of my children's lives, I can control.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that. But then I found out the reason why they were marketed to infants and or doctors, neonatal doctors to give to infants rather, was because people were putting them in very large daycares where there's lots of other babies with diapers being changed and people not washing their hands. And since we knew that I was closing my practice and I'm staying home with them, and we were going to be restricting who had access to the child, there was no need for it. You know, at some point, if one of my kids wants to go and work in a group home somewhere, they're going to need the vaccine. You know, then go get that, because there's a risk there, and you know, having a single vaccine for that single risk makes, you know, there's some kind of sense to that. But just to give it, you know, that doesn't make sense. And let me tell you, the living hell that the hospital put us through.
Oh yeah.
To the point that I had two nurses that were abusive to me. And finally, one of them was actually terminated for things that were said and done while I was in the hospital. That was like one of your most vulnerable moments. And
yes.
I was told that, you know, hormonal women don't have the right to make up their own minds, you know, because, you know, when they're pregnant, you're hormonal, you shouldn't have a say in this. It's like, well, those are my rights. And
wow.
These are decisions that my husband and I made together long before we got to this point.
Yes. And
if there is no purpose to giving the shot, then there's no need for it, and so I'm not giving my consent for that. And you don't get to circumvent that because that's, you know, because you haven't bothered to do any reading about it, and because you're looking at me as a problem patient now. Now we're getting into patient rights and women's rights, and especially the kinds of things that happen to women in a hospital setting when they give birth, as opposed to a home birth with a midwife. But
you're right.
Anyway,
you know, I have a friend, sorry to interrupt you, that, you know, went through the same situation, you know, since the baby was born. I mean, it's like almost living in like Truman movie. Like Truman, this is almost, you see, from the clerk at the hospital all the way to the nurse and the doctor. They look at you like you're crazy. And, you know, the point is, for example, in the state of Arizona, we still have the right that I don't need to give the baby any vaccine unless I want to. But it is insane the way completely they treat you rudely, just because become almost for them like a mantra, almost like a religion. And the scary thing, I want to say this, you know, first of all, document yourself, every one of you guys out there, because once you give that wrong shot, I mean, first of all, think about the logic. The government, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for free market. But this is not capitalism. This is fascism. It's the union between government and corporations. The corporation pretty much paid off the government to create a shield of immunity on a product, okay? Right there, something should tell you that stinks. I mean, to give complete immunity against lawsuit, no liability to these big pharma corporations that create vaccines, right there should tell you that something's wrong. Then when they're going to start through the program from the first month to all the way to the first year, they don't give you one vaccine at a time. They give you a group of vaccine, like 5, 6 vaccines each time. How can be this even logical? Because think about it, if you have a problem with one vaccine that could give you some sort of a reaction, you want to be sure that you can somehow individualize which vaccine is giving that reaction. No, they put them all together. And you know, and I had this friend of mine went to the doctor, said, by the way, can you give us the side effects? Or it's like when you go into a car. Sometimes there is a car accident. Guess what? At that point, I go by foot. But I'm telling you, this is so sad, because I'm not just mad about the government, what it's doing, and these doctors being paid off, or the nurses being stupid. I'm sad about many mothers out there completely believing and not even asking questions. I don't ask you to believe me. Just ask you to do your research. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the other thing is that, you know, when people berate, because it's us versus them divide, that's the problem here. Mm-hmm. You know, this isn't, you know, like people on the pro-vaccine side will start stomping their feet. You don't believe in science. You don't believe in science. First of all, every single parent out there that agreed to have their child vaccinated was pro-vaccine up until the moment of their injury. Okay, so let's start with that. These were, you know, everyone who was injured, everyone who was claiming an injury from a vaccine, you know, they agreed to give the vaccine. They went along with the science. The other thing is that clearly you don't understand what, you know, this isn't about science. It's about your personal belief that these are infallible and they can't cause injury. And don't talk to me about science because you're not using it yourself. Because if you did, if science were what you cared about, you would be looking for, let's find out what happened to these kids. We need some more tests. We need to examine this. Science doesn't get all emotional about this. It doesn't throw in their own personal belief system about this. Science would just say, okay, there was an injury. Let's figure out what happened. Let's figure out how to make it safe. So stop with the we don't believe in science nonsense, because most of us do. And the other thing is that those on the anti-vaccine side, there's it's not that individual ones are all bad or all this or all that, but they also need to start looking at where they're getting their source information from and be able to handle the statistical, scientific questions and not just the anecdotal stuff. It's very easy to talk about the anecdotal stuff. I mean, even I have a cousin who had twins who were vaccinated. Boom, that night they went home, they had fevers, and now they've never been the same since. But that's anecdotal.
Exactly. Kat, let me tell you, let me say one thing. First of all, let's start with one basic logic thing. If your children, if yourself, you're vaccinated and you believe that, you're certain that this vaccine, they're going to keep you safe, what is your problem? Why should you be worried about my children not being vaccinated? You are safe, so leave me alone. Number one. Number two, let's logic 101, okay? Read just every vaccine comes with some sort of a little, they don't show it to you, but when the doctors receive the big boxes, there are pretty much the ingredients. And look just at those two ingredients, mercury, okay? Mercury, number one, should give you an idea that pretty much you are something that you should stay away. Why they put intentionally mercury into these vaccines? And what does really mercury does for you? And now the government propaganda try to tell you that mercury in vaccines may be good for you. If people don't believe me, let's just listen to this little audio clip. 1 second only.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. There have been widespread concerns that mercury-based preservatives in vaccines might impair the neurological development of children. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental performance.
I mean, this is the biggest, I'm not a doctor, but I'm no idiot either, okay? I have an accent, but I'm not a slave that now just because somebody with a suit on TV and some doctor, paid off doctors telling me that vaccines and mercury are good for me, doesn't mean that make it real. So, I don't know. I mean, all I can say, we could do a show just about vaccines. All I want to say out there, please, do not trust me, do not listen to me, but at least start to use your own brain and do not even trust the propaganda from the CDC or from the big pharmas or from your doctor. Use your brain, do your researches. That's all I want to say. Kat, I want to touch another topic. It's called aspartame. I mean, I see many people when I go to Walmart or whatever, big shops, Safeway, whatever, buying these cases of diet poison. I call it diet poison. And they think they're getting healthy because, they're not drinking sugar. By the way, you don't even touch any more sugar. Now it's all corn syrup, GMO corn syrup. But I think, aspartame is one of the worst things I think can happen to a human being, especially if you drink that regularly or anytime. You want to talk about that? What do you think about aspartame?
I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Is what I think of it. I mean, I don't want cancer, so I'm not going to.
But that shows the point. Not because everything is there on the shelf and is being approved by the FDA means that it's good for you. I mean, remember, the FDA is made by human beings that they are corruptible. The same human beings that used to work for these big industries, they are now revolving door. They have a revolving door. They become part of the FDA. I mean, Rumsfeld, the piece of garbage, was the man behind the push for the aspartame that intentionally, originally was pretty much denied many times by the same FDA. So all I'm saying there, guys, just Google aspartame hidden dangers, and you will see pretty much, just to give you an idea, what can do to you, from birth defects to cancer, diabetes, emotional disorders, epilepsy, seizures. I mean, this is so sad, because all I can say, most of these problems that we have, they've been created by design and also just for profit. So all I can say, start to do your homework. Aspartame is definitely on the list. Now, you ever heard about fluoride, especially when it's mandated by municipalities? They are so worried about our teeth, and they put this sort of poison in our water system. What do you know about fluoride?
Fluoride, well, I mean, there was a Harvard study that showed that it will lower your IQ if you consume it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Berkey water filter, so, and it's got the fluoride element to filter out the fluoride, because where we live, we're on municipal water, and of course there's fluoride in the water. And it makes absolutely no sense that, consuming it and putting fluoride in your stomach is somehow going to help it. It's not like it's a fluoride treatment on your teeth where it stays, where it can maybe possibly do some good, but it's just going into your stomach, and that makes no sense. But what I do is I filter it out, and that's where our drinking water comes from, is from that Berkey filter. And I got the biggest one that they sell, the big one, and that's where I get my water for my, if I have to cook anything, because if you cook pasta, if you cook potatoes, I have to have gluten-free pasta, but whatever. Anyway, if you're cooking anything where the water's absorbed, that fluoride's going right along with it, so it's not something that evaporates out. If you let water stand for about 30 minutes, chlorine will evaporate out, but the metals and everything else that are in there and the fluoride will not. That'll actually become slightly more concentrated the more you cook it off. So,
okay.
So I don't want that. There's no point in that.
Exactly. Let me tell you this. This is so important. This shows you that there is a plan. I mean, think about this. Government is trying to federalize this sort of plans to fluoridate, all different municipalities. And you're talking about billions of dollars. This stuff isn't free, okay? And why they're so concerned? And I tell you only one thing. You do your own research. Google or search engine, whatever search engine you like, fluoride with Hitler. Okay, Hitler. Okay, what happened? This fluoride was pretty much started to create a sort of subdue population. This is not about curing your teeth. And by the way, when you get a medication, you should have a prescription. Maybe I want to just drink water. I don't want you drink your chemicals. But more important, think about it. And people out there, they try to defend, they say, just a little bit. First of all, do you really trust how much little bit? What if the mistake they put more than you're supposed to have? And more important, a little bit of poison in my book is still poison, so you drink it up. Okay? But the most important thing, this is about the conspiracy is proven. There are books out there, there are proofs, okay? And you can see pretty much Mr. Charles Perkins, a chemist, proving that there are documents out there that Hitler created this fluoride concept and chemical to subdue the population. That's all I can say. And you should be involved everywhere you live. Maybe you're not aware. In your municipality, in your city, in your town, in your county, ask, demand to see if they added fluoride in the water supply. It's your right to know, and it's your right to fight and stand up against this evil. That's all I can say.
Well,
go ahead, please.
Well, not only, did Hitler use that, but the United States, after the war, ended up bringing a lot of the scientists, the Nazi scientists, over to the United States.
Oh, you're right.
And then they became part of our system. And the problem is that it's so immense. And trying to wrap your brain around the whole thing, I think that's when most people say, I just can't, and then they stop looking. But the problem is that, you get people like that who come here, these scientists who came here, rather than face, going to, some type of court and being held accountable. They took the job here readily, and the United States learned those lessons of World War II very well. They learned them and they improved upon them. And what ends up happening is you have these people way up top that set policy. And I'm not talking about, when I say way up top, setting policy being Congress or the president. I'm talking about above them, the people that financially own them. And they set the policy. And, then it trickles down. And by the time you get to, the USDA representative that's at your farm, that's inspecting it, surprised, without a warrant, and so on, they don't get the scope. They don't see the scope. It's not their job to see the scope. They only see that they were sent out there for, this particular task to go do. The EPA goes out and, the person who's, out at whatever location, they only see, the little bit that they see. And, as far as most of the voters here, this is going to insult people, but you really should look this term up. That's called Useful Idiot.
Yeah, and it's true. I really start to believe, Kat, I start to believe a true diet, through medications, through chemicals in the water and vaccinations and mercury is almost being created a new subspecies, strong enough, healthy enough to work, but not strong enough to understand what's going on and to stand up for their rights. I mean, this is really out of the book, Brave New World. And I'm telling you, this is, I wish was all wrong, was just some sort of a conspiracy, but the facts are out there. Now, you said something about before, and I invite people to check it out. Yes, all these German scientists after the war, they were imported here, they were brought here. It's called Operation Paperclip. Go find out. It's an official document, declassified. So there is something out there that you really should start to look. I would like to go through more things before we go ahead, and I'm just going to throw keywords now because time is short. But the point is you need to start to find solutions for what the problems we are facing, we are saying. Because I cannot tell you first how to find a solution until you admit that we have a problem. So this show is not about to bring you down or to make you feel depressed, but to give you awareness. You do your researches, and then you become proactive. You mentioned something very important. Fluoride, answer was get water filtration system who purify the fluoride. And by the way, not every filter out there does that. So do your researches. The Berkeley is really good. There are also other good filters out there. So check it out. It doesn't cost much. Even if you have to put some priorities out, I'd rather to spend a couple $100 for a purification system for the water for my family than waste them in some BPA-filled plastic bottled waters that anyway they are just junk water anyway. So let's talk about this. Aspartame, we went through. Fluoride, the GMO. Now, another important thing that made me feel very sad, when you see all these population overweight, it is not because they eat too much. It's because they drink so much crap, like sodas, filled with corn syrup. 7 years ago, I did probably one of the most important decisions of my life. I'm so glad. I quit drinking any type of sodas, okay? And I lost immediately, even a month, probably about 3 pounds. And I never felt better in my life because now these sodas, they're not just bad for you because they have sugar. It's all GMO corn syrup and so many other chemicals that I cannot even pronounce. What do you think about this soda situation?
Oh, I haven't had soda, and I stopped drinking that a long time ago. I don't even know how long ago, maybe over 10 years ago. And my kids don't drink soda. I don't have that in the house. What I do have in the house, you can make your own fermented sodas. You can make your own probiotic-rich sodas at home. You can make your own ginger ale, and you can control what's in there. You can make your own root beer and control what's in there. And I think you can do kombucha. You can do kefir things and make kefir water, and it sparkles a little bit, and it's got that fizz in it, and you can flavor it how you want. And so the point is that for all of these problems, there is an alternative. Most of even with the Berkey, when it comes, because I know the biggest thing that people are going to say is, oh, that costs a lot of money. There's all kinds of DIY things that you can do with food-grade buckets to make your own Berkey filter, and all you have to do then is buy the filters themselves, but you don't have to buy the unit, so.
Kat, let me spot you. I understand times are tough, but I tell you, the same people that many times often say, oh, the Berkey costs a lot of money. We're talking about a couple $100, okay? Look, when you go to see the shopping cart during the months, just in a month, how much money they spend for maybe sodas or plastic bottles or junk food, that money would be done like that. So, I think it's called about education and prioritization. Now,
the other thing is that if they can if money is the issue, then they need to find some way to start growing some of their own food.
Yes.
Because they can do that without the chemicals. We have a very small city property. We're moving to a much larger rural property, but for right now, while the house is being built, we're on this very small city property. We are very lucky that we have a little yard that gets some sun. If you have that and you have the ability, you should be planting as much of your own food in your backyard as you can. That will save you a ridiculous amount of money, because even the organic food at the grocery store is not really as clean and as pure and as natural as you would like. And then even though they may not put certain chemicals on, the soil itself, when you have a large monoculture farm where they're growing thousands of acres of just cucumbers, they're not out there improving the soil, putting nutrients back in naturally with composter or whatever, or putting seaweed out on their soil, or because I can go to the beach and grab that from near the coast, or putting whatever back into the soil. They're putting chemical fertilizers in there, when the plants are not there. They have to put something back in, but it's not the same thing. And the nutrition, the actual nutrition that's in the food is not there. We are chronically deficient in micronutrients, your vitamins and your minerals. So, just before you even, get into, well, are we having too much fat, too much salt, too much this, too much that, the food that you're getting is good, does not have what it had 100 years ago as far as nutrition in it. You can't function without the right amount of magnesium and the right amount of potassium and the right amount of your various vitamins and so on. You have to have them.
Exactly.
And then you get these chronic illnesses that no one knows exactly how, why they're feeling so lousy. Well, we might want to start with, plugging in all those missing minerals, and you're not going to get that from popping these synthetic vitamins.
Exactly.
You need to get it from the food. Yeah.
We're getting to this point. This hour went so fast. I knew it. And by the way, I would like to have you again just to talk about the herbal remedies. I knew that it was going to be happening. So much information we're covering. Even we're just covering the surface. Guys out there, there are solutions. There are solutions. First of all, empower yourself. You want to start a revolution, grow your own food. Learn all these concepts. Share with your family, with your friends. Regain our own independence, starting from the food. Codex Alimentarius, I just throw a keyword at you. Look what these globalists, they're trying to do to us. Control also our resources, what we can eat or not. But I want to give you the floor, the last 60 seconds, whatever you want to say. Also remind you your website.
Okay, you can find my website, herbalpepper.com, and if I could say anything, it's just understand that you can take these matters into your own hands. You don't have to eat their food or drink their water. There are other ways around it, and the Internet is your friend.
Perfect. Kat, you promised me that we can come back together just to talk about herbal remedies. I knew this is going to happen. Can we do that in the near future?
Absolutely.
Perfectly. So that we give a good stress. And this is we just put out keywords. So do your researches. Now, to keep this show free, guys, I told you, I'm here as an act of love, okay? And I could just be part of the scheme. I just could say what they want to hear. No, I'm telling you what I really believe in my heart it's happening. We are in danger, and I understand that to keep this show free and to keep this information flowing and trying to learn from each other without any type of constraint, I need your help. If you want to help to keep this show free, go to my website, www.zanna.us. You know what I do for a living? One of the things I do, I write songs. You can download any of my songs all over the world on Amazon, iTunes, or directly on my Zanna.us for just 99 cents. Less than the price of a stupid coffee, seriously. And doing that, you can support the show. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate Kat today for her time, for her knowledge, and for her courage to even come out. Because I remember talking about things like that in many parts of the world, you could be pretty much put in jail. We're still in America, and we still always speak up the truth. You're listening, and you've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday.